we were previously under a patriarchy. We're now entering into a matriarchy. So guys are going out and they're seeing women that are, whether it's like OnlyFans. I'm not judging this, by the way. I'm just giving what's happening. Whether it's OnlyFans or, partying or hooking up with a lot of guys or a high body count. And guys are like, well, I don't want to marry a girl like that. That's just, I'm not saying this. I'm just saying what a lot of guys are feeling. So they're saying, I don't want to marry a girl like that. So where could I find a better girl? Where would you find a better girl? Right? You say, where's my wife? Right. So a lot of guys who, went to high school, got decent grades, went to college, got a degree in something useful, got a job, maybe they make, 100 grand, 200 grand. They've built a nest and they followed that script of what was supposed to work. It was supposed to work. So, they hit about maybe their late 20s or whatever age, and they say, you know what? Where's my wife? And what you guys have to understand is the population is crashing. Okay, do you guys understand that the population is crashing right now? Okay, most guys can't get married. As of right now, what the stats say, and these are real studies, this is not me trying to promote an agenda, these are actual studies, look it up. Currently right now, the studies are showing that 10% of the men are mating with 58% of the women. So what does that mean of what's remaining? Now, keep in mind, that's the top 10%. Realize that from 80 to 90 is most of the rest. So unless you're in the top 20%, the ratios just aren't there. The market just bears out. There's no wife waiting for you. So being the average guy is no longer a path for a guy to get a wife or to get a family. And what guys don't understand is that we were under a patriarchy before, and we are now under a matriarchy. Do you guys understand this?
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't even plan to talk that much about attraction or dating in the future, but one of the final sort of areas that I feel is urgent that I explore is that men understand that we are under a matriarchy. Now, admitting that does not mean that you're approving of it. It doesn't mean that you like it. I'm just saying that that's where you are. Here's what it is. 65% of jobs, new jobs, to women. 65% of mortgages, new home purchases, to women. 65% of college graduations, to women. Now, to be fair, a lot of that shit where you go to college and you get saddled with debt and you get a crap job in HR actually sucks. So I'd rather just learn how to do internet marketing. I think that a lot of girls following that path are getting screwed. But I'm just saying that for the average person who does not understand business the way that we teach it here, because the way that we teach it here is not that well known, that's why it's so good. The average person, the path they would take would be, be college, etc. That's about 65% to women. So what's happening in effect is we're under a matriarchy where what men are failing to understand is that never in human history until very recently did beta male men have sex. Beta male men did not have sex until very recently, in large quantities, right? If you look back at Homo erectus was alive, was the main human species for 2 million years. If you look at Homo erectus, what percentage of those men were passing on their genes historically?
10%.
It would have been wildly low, okay? Homo sapiens, it's low. So it's not even normal that beta male men, or even really average men, even got to reproduce. How did that help this? Rather than being mad about this, I'm mad about it. Don't be mad about it. Be grateful for this. Why is it good that, because remember, you think of yourself, you think about your forefathers. Do you ever think about your foremothers? Do you understand, you come from a lineage of women as well? Do you guys ever pause and consider that?
Yeah.
You're just as much the descendant of your mom, your grandmother, your great-grandmother. All those women, you're a descendant of them too. It's not just asexual reproduction from men. I want to let you know that I'm coming to the Midwest. I'm super, super excited about it. I'll be hitting up St. Louis for the first time ever, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, and then a tour of Texas. Austin, Houston, Dallas, back to LA, Las Vegas, Phoenix, San Diego, then Florida, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Boston, and DC. Very, very excited to come and meet you in person. I'll be training you completely for free on the topic of social skills, attraction, how to make cash, and how to get spiritually tapped in. If you're somebody who lives overseas, I'd recommend that you join up with an event run by my team. These have the most incredible process and produce the most incredible results. You can take these anywhere in the world overseas. If you live overseas, click the link right now and find a city that works for you. Now, if for whatever reason you're paralyzed and in a wheelchair or just not in a position to fly right now, even though you really should fly out, then what I'm going to recommend that you do is do a virtual event. And you can do that literally right from the comfort of your own home, in your underwear, and likewise, you're going to get a heck of a result. What's going to happen as soon as you sign up for this, I put you into a group that I participate in regularly, and I'll be answering questions, the most relevant questions, really fun questions, things that I think the group can benefit from. Get signed in, we are going to begin talking, and I'm going to build you a mastermind group of like-minded individuals. At the event, you'll also be getting a ton of personal feedback and going through a ton of exercises. We'll be doing a field trip and working on social skills in the real world. It's going to be incredible. This will be the best thing you do this year. All you've got to do is to lock it in and ensure that you're not stuck at the back of the room or that this thing fills up and you can't attend, is click the link right now and immediately we get in touch. This is going to be the most important thing you do this year. Click the link and I'll see you soon. Your great-great-great-granddad didn't asexually reproduce, like split in half, right? There was a woman there too. That's also your ancestor. You also could have been born as a woman. So understand you should have empathy for women and understand where they're coming from because you are kind of like half a woman. Okay, and your ancestors. So understand that why are you happy that why are you grateful that your grandmother didn't mate with chumps? Why is that good for you? You should wish that they mated with even less chumps. You should wish they had even more hypergamy. Your life would be better. You'd be smarter, you'd be better looking. Right? So hypergamy is not your enemy, guys, okay? Hypergamy is what drives society forward. A harsh truth is that cheating also drives society forward. That's one a lot of guys are not prepared to hear. Why is that? Why is infidelity a necessary part of? I'm not a fan of it. I'm not justifying it. I'm not morally justifying it. But why did cheating advance the species? Why would we have evolved infidelity?
Well, a motivation for the guys to step up their game. Would you say
that? But also, let's say that a woman couldn't get the alpha to reproduce with. Well, maybe she has a beta, but as long as one, let's say that she were to cheat, let's say she had 4 babies, but one of them she had with the alpha. And I know the alpha, to be clear, I know the alpha term is cringe. I know. If you don't want me to use that term, I could say the confident leader, whatever, and just take forever. Or we could just say the alpha, even though it's fucking cringe as hell, okay? It's not lost on me how cringe I sound when I say the alpha, okay? I'm just trying to compress. I don't want to be like LGBTQ, okay? Okay, so anyway, so the point that I'm getting at is I'll just call it alpha just for short form, okay? I know how bad it sounds. So basically what it is that, a little green tea. I'm like the alpha with my green tea in my beard. So what was happening is basically, what was going on is that infidelity would occur because say she'd have 3 kids from the beta who would take care of her, but 1 kid from the alpha. Over millions and millions of years, the species became more adaptive, okay? So that was happening. Now, here's what marriage did, and you need to understand this, and here's what the church did and the patriarchy did in order to sort of stabilize society, but here's where it's going. Okay, so this is very advanced and almost nobody understands this, okay? Very advanced, almost nobody understands it. People misunderstand attraction because they keep looking at it through the paradigm and lens of height, looks, money, facial beauty. These are factors in attraction, but this is not a very advanced understanding of attraction at all. It's a very basic layman's understanding of attraction. So we can have a discussion about attraction by using, good-looking face, height, hair, jacked, and rich. We can look at attraction through that lens if we want. But again, anyone who deeply understands attraction knows that, if I go out with 10 of you guys tonight, it's not necessarily going to be the best looking guy who does the best. It will be the guy with the most confidence, swagger, state, and frame. Okay? Quick question. Yeah, real quick if it's on topic.
Yeah, I have the question just for the best pickup artist in the world. By the way, I'm one of the men that actually love you the most. It's because when I talk about attraction with anyone, I would always get pissed off what the answer they usually give me. They usually say the same, like
because they have so in my case, basically what I did was I went out about 4 or 5 nights a week for 25 years. I'm at about 25,000 hours to maybe 50,000 hours of data as far as what creates attraction. So what I'm sharing is more advanced, and for whatever reason, Harvard, Stanford, Princeton doesn't want to look at my work. They just have their agenda, which, by the way, is the matriarchy. So now let's keep going, okay? Give me a sec, okay? So now from there, okay? So basically what you have is this. So a better understanding of attraction is the following, okay? So listen very, very carefully, okay? There's many components to it, but a major one is called frame. So all of you right now watching this are actually in my frame. What does it feel like as I'm running the event, can you guys feel that my words are echoing in your mind? Can you feel that the frequency that I'm putting out, you're synchronizing to? Can you see that the standards and values that I'm putting into you this weekend, you're beginning to sync up with? Can you feel that? Okay, have you ever had it where you had a girlfriend who, when you met her, maybe had her own set of values, but as she fell in love with you, began to adopt your values? And then later when you broke up, she went back to her old self. You ever see that happen? Okay, follow this. When a girl falls in love with you, what happens is she will actually begin to create a false, it's not a, I don't want to use words like false identity, that sounds like a value judgment. She creates she gives you a beautiful gift. And the beautiful gift that she gives you is she creates a personality that is a hybrid of her real personality, but a new personality that is there to make you feel loved, respected, and accommodated. Do you understand? So if a girl's in love with me, she'll probably start to like public speaking. She'll probably like esoteric self-help. She'll probably begin to like nature trips, okay? So you could have a girl who's never been out of the city in her life and doesn't care about nature, but if I go and talk to her, she might be like, I've always wanted to go in nature. I've always wanted to learn about personal growth. I've always wanted to do public speaking. You know what? I smoke weed, but now that I think about it, it's stupid. I don't want to smoke weed. It's dumb. You're right. It's absolutely dumb. Drinking, it's disgusting. I don't know what. Here, get this away from me. You'll begin to see them, okay? You could have a girl who's liberal, and if you're conservative, might begin to be like, you know what? Now that I think about it, you're right. I don't like Kamala. I'm a Trump fan or whatever, right? Like they start to shift their values rapidly. It's insane to see. A simple example would be like Bruno or Borat, the movies with Sacha Baron Cohen, and how he can control frame, and he can just get people to say crazy shit that's even embarrassing when they see it on video. That's called frame control, okay? It happens in things like some kind of crazy dictator, and the whole population believes in the values of the dictator, and they go run off on some rampage. It's horrible, okay? Human beings live in a hive mind. Say the word hive mind. So a very big part of attraction is that you have the stronger frame, you have the stronger reality. So they go into your hive mind, and then what happens is, here's the main key to it. If you have a strong frame, you might have a strong frame of reality that you suck. Or you might have a strong frame of reality that you're okay. Or you might have a strong frame of reality that you're the best. Now, because of hypergamy, why is it important that your frame of reality is you're the most attractive guy ever to live? It's actually important that you believe that about yourself. Do you need to, okay, for you to be attracted to a girl, to fall in love with a girl, do you need her to like have some narcissistic belief that she's the hottest girl in the world? Do you need to believe that? No. Why do you think she biologically needs that, but you don't? Because you have the capacity to mate with 30, not that you would do this, you never do it, but you have a capacity biologically to have 30,000 mates. How many kids can she put out? 4 or 5? Some could do like 20, but that's like kind of freaky, right? So it's like 4 or 5. So she's got to, so her biology is telling her, get the best. You have to get the best. So the more that you can convince yourself that you are the best, the better off you are. Now, I believe I'm the best public speaker. I believe I'm the best teacher. As you're in the room with me, are you like, man, I really wish that Tony Robbins was here? Or are you like, man, I want to go down this rabbit hole? How do you feel right now?
The latter.
You want to go down this rabbit hole because you're in my frame. But if Tony was here, you rapidly, if he has a stronger frame, might switch to like Tony better. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because then you'd enter into Tony's frame and go, Owen's like, I don't know, like frame. You know, I want to learn about the 6 human needs. You see what happened, right? So you'd switch frames, right? Now, if you have a truly strong frame, you would be able to come up here right now and start talking beside me and capture the attention of the audience away from me. You got that? You dig? Mm-hmm. Okay, like Zach, you've got a pretty strong frame. Most of you guys here are not looking to get involved in the church, but as Zach was talking, did you almost feel yourself entering into his frame a little bit? Yeah. Right, and he's talking about things that could be completely opposed to what you're even here to learn. Like totally the opposite for a lot of you guys. But he's got a strong frame. So now when you're out and you're talking to people, let's say that you go talk to a girl and another guy's talking to the same girl. Where do you think the attention's gonna go from her? It's who has a stronger frame. This is absolutely real. Okay, look, I can't tell you how many years I've gone out, and there could be some guy who's like 6'5", hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm not kidding when I say this. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Celebrity, jacked, on TRT and jacked. Full head of hair, good looking. But if I go in and my frame is stronger, in 90% of cases, not 100%, but 90% of cases, do you guys know what RAS is? Reticular Activation System. It's your selective focus. You will watch their RAS shift onto you if your frame is stronger. I've walked up to Leo DiCaprio's table. He's there talking to people. I walk in, stronger frame, attention's on me. Many times. Because Leo he would go out at One Oak for years. And he can't talk to everybody. So understand that, right? Like, it doesn't matter who it is. If your frame is stronger, we seek out certainty. It's human beings, we're constantly seeking out certainty. The way that it works is this, okay? If you want to understand frame, here's how it works. So as you walk around, this is what your brain is doing without you knowing that you're doing it. Your brain goes, by the way, if you're not sold on this, I'm going to sell you on it in the next 2-3 minutes. And I like people critically thinking. I'm going to sell you on in the next 2 to 3 minutes. You're going to believe me. So what you're doing is you're going like this, ground underfoot. Then you're going table, body, air, face, sound, walls, and you're basically pinging like a dolphin sonar, looking for what reality is all the time. You're just constantly doing this, okay? So the way that have you guys ever seen hypnosis done at a high level? Yeah. How freaky is it when you see hypnosis done at a high level? The way that a hypnotist does this is they have a stronger sense of reality than the other person. And so what happens is that they cause the other person to enter into their frame of reality. So the way that they would do it, the way a hypnotist would do it, and this is a very layman, but I'm going to try to show you, is this. What I would say to you is, if I was going to hypnotize you, I'd say you're sitting in a chair. You feel the chair on your butt and your back. You feel your feet on the ground. You feel your arm by your chin. You feel yourself blinking. You feel yourself breathing. You feel yourself wondering what it is that I'm doing. You hear me talking to you. You hear my voice in your head. And as you're experiencing that, you realize that you want to have gay sex. I'm just kidding. So, okay, I'm kidding. But what I'm saying is, it's a joke. But what I'm trying to say here is, a hypnosis, repeat this after me, say pacing and leading. Pacing. So the way that you would hypnotize someone is if you pace them, this is freaky. Pay attention. This is so crazy what I'm explaining to you. This is insane. Please listen. For God's sake, please listen. So what happens is that if I can pace your reality and it becomes easier for you, like, okay, so do you guys understand that like calories used to be very hard to come by back in the day, right? Yeah. Killing an animal, getting some fruit, in many cases, not always, many cases, it was incredibly hard. The brain is using 20% of calories. So the brain is always looking for an easier way. You're something like that gay hookup of me, huh? So the brain is always trying to save calories. That's all the brain is trying to do, is literally save calories. So as a result of the brain always trying to save calories, if someone has a stronger sense of reality, the brain goes, please pay attention. The brain goes, I can save calories by syncing to their reality. Do you see that? But also, if someone's the most confident, the brain can not only save calories, but it can achieve, say the word harmony with the group, which equals safety. So the brain would rather believe something that is wrong than to contradict the values of the group and get ostracized, which is certain death in a caveman tribe. Okay? So it saves energy. Also, to be fair, if someone's really, really, really good at knowing what reality is, you can learn from groupthink. So groupthink, like if I tell you right now, don't put your finger in a light socket, here's what'll happen. Like if you go to put your finger in a light socket, and I go, right now, I'm putting in the socket, what would everybody here do? No. What would you look like if I was about to do that? Well, cut my arm off. So I'm like, I'm gonna take this knife and cut off my arm. How do you guys react? Stop. You'd have a high degree of certainty that it's alarming and freaky and bad, right? So groupthink lets us learn from the group what has caused death in other humans, what has harmed other humans, or what has benefited other humans. That's why a celebrity becomes like a god on earth, freaky god on earth, because of the fact that all these people are cheering for them. So we go, that must be a benefit to listen to them. You guys are more in my frame because you're hearing me than if we were in a one-on-one conversation. Very quick, so I'm on a roll.
How do you eliminate the need for groupthink approval?
Well, what I've taught in other videos at length, but the short version is, stop, if you want to get out of groupthink, stop looking at how confident the person is, and stop looking at social proof and audit that information based on your own life experience. So in effect, what it is that groupthink is like 85% of the time actually good. It's like most of the time good. Because look, the fact that there is people here is an indicator that I'm an expert. I mean, do you want to spend 25 years doing social experiments, or do you want me to just give you the information? Right? So there's some degree of groupthink is positive, okay? There can be positivity to it. The problem is that groupthink is also negative at times because sometimes an institution becomes corrupt, and big pharma might know that vitamin D and zinc would help better than their drug, but they don't tell you, right? So you can't trust groupthink completely. So the social contract can be broken, trust can be broken, institutions can break down, or they can function well. Anyway, look. So what happens is, when you're talking to a woman, if you have a higher sense of certainty, her mechanism of what is the reality, what is the reality, what is the reality, goes like looking. Now, currently she's in what some people call it her masculine. Her masculine is she doesn't trust any man, so she's looking at her own reality, okay? Then what happens is she goes like that, looking for the stronger reality. You come in, stronger frame. You're doing it right now. Look, watch. You're a pretty confident guy. You're a pretty confident guy. Here, come over here. Okay, watch this, okay? So, talk to the audience, and we're going to talk over each other, okay? My name is Owen Cook. I'm here to teach you what it is that you need to know. I will show you everything you need to know. You are going to learn everything here right now. Anything you need to know. Keep going. Try to overpower me. I will show you every last piece of information. Okay, pause. Okay, pause. Did you feel your RAS going back and forth? Could you feel it going, That's what the girls are doing. Do you see that? That's what the girls are doing, okay? They're going, who's certain? So thank you. So he's actually a better looking guy. He's a more classically looking guy than me. He's got a full head of hair. He doesn't have a pot belly. He's facially more beautiful than me. But if we were both talking to a girl, it will not matter. Yeah. It will not matter, okay? Like, you're how tall?
6'4".
Stand here. Okay, and these guys have both been trained. They're coming off training. So watch this, okay? So just talk. All right, guys, my name is Owen. I got a big fat beard. I got a crazy ass watch. I got these crazy ass shoes.
Really nice.
I'm actually a little balding ginger. I'm a little leprechaun. And I'm here to help you. I will help you. Do you feel your RAS going back and forth?
Yeah.
That's why looks and money doesn't matter. Do you understand? That's why looks and money doesn't matter. So do you see how, even though he's taller, better looking, did that draw your attention more? No. Okay, have a seat, thank you. So that's what's actually happening. You want to do it, I guess?
Well, no, I was just saying, like, this is why the obnoxious jocks get the girls in high school.
100%. Okay, so here's what happens. Plus they have social proof. So what happens is, that's frame. That's why, look, I have been sitting in a Russian banya, back hair, man boobs, pot belly, bald, no hat on, bald, and there'll be like a couple there. I don't know that they're a couple because I just talk to everybody. And that guy's got pretty face, hair, washboard abs. I'll just start talking, and then oftentimes that girl later comes and slips me her number. I'm thinking that they're just friends or the guy's gay or something, but then I go on her Instagram, and they're driving around on like the double bike. They got a wedding ring. I'm like, oh my God. Right? Because I chat everybody. And this happens all the time. Because I just chat everybody. Most people who you chat out are not groups of just girls. Most groups out are mixed guy-girl groups. Normal cool people have mixed friends. So I chat everybody. And what happens is that this is constant. And it's freaky to me. I'll be like, man, this guy's like 6'2", super chiseled, good-looking guy. Like, why would she try to get my information? But it's instinctive. It's instinctive. They're going where the safety is. So a girl in her masculine is basically a girl who feels like she can't be in the frame of a guy And it's wearing her down. It's making her exhausted. She's got to focus on feeling good, emotionally regular, if she wishes to have a baby. I'm just saying like biologically. But now she's got to like determine all reality for herself and fend for herself instead of being in the containment of a guy. They say the word containment. So containment means the woman feels safe with you, okay? She feels very, very safe. Now, when a woman sees, she goes like that. When she sees that the reality is better, what is the thing that she'll do? So would a woman call a guy like, a loser or a jerk randomly? Like, would she go up to like some guy who she's not attracted to, just be like, you're a loser, you're a jerk? Does that happen much?
No.
Okay, so if a girl is talking to you and she's got big bright eyes and you can tell that she's like getting interested, what might she proceed to do that can be a little surprising if you don't know about this stuff?
Shit testing.
It's called a shit test.
Congruence.
So that it's a better word is congruence test, a little friendlier. So what a congruence test is she'll say, she'll go, you're a jerk or you're this or that. And let's say that this is very key. Let's say that she's been validating you. This is so powerful. She's been validating you a bit. Have you ever had it where when a woman validated you, you felt so good that this beautiful or whatever attractive way girl was validating you, that you felt better about yourself and you actually ran away before even asking for the number because you felt so good that you didn't want to even risk messing with it. So what girls will do is they will show attraction to you to raise your validation, see if you're even affected, and then withdraw it. Interesting, right? Very interesting, right? But they have to do it, right? So again, human beings, what I like about human beings is that we don't engage in violence. Animal species, the men go and they bash each other's fucking heads in with horns. They kill each other. In Tasmanian devils, again, this is horrible. Never do this. The girl grows fat on the back of her neck, and whatever male species can like bite it. Again, never do this. This is horrible. Bites it, and if he can drag her to a cave, again, never do this. Okay, never do this. Never do this. Okay, never do this. Drags her to the cave, and then basically, and so if he's strong enough to do that, then that's attraction. Luckily, we don't have female humans that have neck fat that you have to bite. I don't know, could be a party, I guess. But that doesn't exist, right? And we don't have to bash each other in the head with horns. In fact, if men physically attack each other in front of a woman, it often shows like you knew that your frame wasn't strong enough. And so you're resorting to violence, which makes her lose attraction, actually. You get in a fight with another guy in front of a girl, they lose attraction. But if two guys come, the girl will typically go with who has the strong frame. But she'll shit test. Now, shit test can look like the following. Validates you and then withdraws it to see if that state crashes you. Why? Remember we talked about social picking? Table, ceiling, breathing, air, chair. You guys remember that? That's pinging for reality. There's another dolphin sonar type of pinging. What's that? Validation. Validation. Where's an alpha getting validated from? Self. Yeah, but also, I'm not saying this is ideal. The truth is, this is hyper subtle information you won't get anywhere else. A lot of it is actually, and you won't get this anywhere else, and this it'll be 300 years before this gets acknowledged as the truth. The alpha typically has so many women that he's validated by the harem. So when we talk about internal validation, that's meant to be a hack that mimics the validation that you'd have from having a harem. Because let's say you had a 12-woman harem, and then one girl didn't think you're super cool. Would you care?
No.
So you'd pass the shit test. But when you don't have that, how do you mimic that vibe? Internal validation. Okay? Now the truth is that over time, internal validation actually is better. So you should cultivate internal validation, okay? But you'll notice that if you want to get a ultra high quality woman, if you're not seeing other women, it is very hard. And when you are seeing other women, it is very easy.
Yeah.
Okay? Very easy. So a lot of guys are like, well, I want to get a really high quality girl. I'm like, you got to probably get out there and meet some lesser quality girls and be casually dating and then get to the point where you meet the one you like. Like, I don't come out of a breakup and go right into another super high quality girl. I usually feel the withdrawal validation from my significant other. It leaves a hole in my heart for 6 months. and I don't get attraction that much because I'm leaking validation. My heart's going, where's my girlfriend? Eventually it heals and you stop seeking validation from that girl who you're vulnerable to. Now, why is it beautiful to seek validation from a girl? Because when she gives it to you, it enhances your love. It's actually very beautiful to be vulnerable, to not be afraid. You don't have to be afraid, but do be aware that when you do it, it's gonna hurt when she leaves. But is that bad?
No.
I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's beautiful. I think heartbreak is part of a coming of age. So don't be afraid of heartbreak, but just recognize what it is, okay? So what happens is that the validation that would occur if you're dating multiple people, like let's say that you're at a party and there was 6 different girls there that you're having sex with. Would you easily pass a shit test? Do you want to know other micro shit tests? Waiting a little bit to respond to a text, not giving some long paragraph answer, not over explaining, not even using extended logic. I'm dropping bombs here. I really hope you're paying attention. I really hope you're paying attention. Too much logic is a failure of shit test. Why? Why do you need to be all logical? Why do you have to self-qualify yourself like this? Why can't you just be having fun?
I got shit tested today. She said my eyes looked like I was high because they were all red. And I failed. I tried to explain why they were red.
Yeah, it's like, so ways of passing shit tests is, for example, agree and amplify. You know, you're a jerk. Yeah. When did you realize you like jerks? Right, agree and amplify, right? Agree and amplify, right? Or just don't even respond at all. If not, or just make a funny sound. Make a funny sound. Make a joke. Ignore, okay? It's, okay, way you do pass congruence test, repeat this after me. Ignore.
Ignore.
Agree and amplify.
Agree and amplify. Misinterpret.
Misinterpret as a compliment.
Misinterpret as a compliment.
Yeah. Misinterpretation. Any logical explanation kills attraction.
Yep.
Because it shows that you don't have success. It makes you appear hyper vigilant and needy.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a different language. There's a guys get mad. They're like, why do they need this? It's a different language. And it might make you mad that this language occurs, but if you're a 6, you can become a 10 when you get it and master language. So don't be mad at hypergamy. Hypergamy means that you can punch above your weight, by the way. Would you rather that it's just straight no ability to raise your value at all? But the thing is, men can raise their value in the moment and drop value in the moment. And it happens lightning fast. Lightning fast. And if you lose frame, okay, have you ever had it where you're talking to a girl out and you have frame? And then you lose frame, maybe because you liked your validation too much or whatever, and then she just completely forgets about the conversation and gets on with her night and kind of forgets about you completely. You ever had that happen? That also happens eventually in a relationship with extended frame loss. It creates what's called an RAS flip. So watch what happened. When you had frame, remember how she gives you that great gift of like, she combines her real personality, but now she says, I love self-help, I love public speaking, I love Instagram, I hate weed, I hate booze. Immediately, with extended frame loss, if it goes on too long, it crosses a tipping point eventually. It doesn't happen right away. It's not like you fail one shit test, this happens. That's not true. In most cases. Something can happen, but usually not. But what does happen is eventually, if you cross a tipping point, what'll happen is she has an RAS flip. Look, it would be like, say a guy was taking a training with me, they paid a couple $1,000. If I lost frame for long enough, their brain would go, you know what? I think I want a new TV. And then they start looping on how they'd rather get a refund and then get a new TV. And by the time that I try to fix it, I'm like, no, the training is good, the training's good. They already sold themselves on the TV. So if a girl, and now they probably said the training did suck and it'll never work, even if it was great, because they're always great. I mean, if you think this is a good speech, imagine the proper training, right? But that can happen. So the same thing happens with men too. Men that were in your frame. So it happens with women or men that are in your frame. Now, going from there, the RAS flip is where the girl comes out of frame, and then that person who you spoke to, in effect, died. Have you guys ever had it where you had a breakup and the freaky part is not that you get to go date new women and have novelty and fun and freedom. That's not the hard part. It feels like a death of the person who you knew. You ever had that feeling? Yeah. Like, where's that Sarah, my best friend? We went to Hawaii together. We sat on the beach. We talked about life. She hated drugs and she liked my conservative politics, and it turns out that now she's a Kamala fan. Like, do you see what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So they RAS flip on you, okay? because that's their way of exiting frame. They have to do it. Because if they were following your lead, try to follow this. If you jumped in a pool of chocolate sauce and you're smothered in chocolate sauce, you got to get out and you got to wipe all the chocolate sauce off, right? If she's in your frame and a lot of her thinking processes are dictated by you because she's given you that frame, to get out, she has to create the leverage to force herself out because she loves you. She does love you, but she knows she has to leave because you're chump. So what happens is that now she has to kind of hate you to get out. You ever had it where like a girl that you're best friends with, like for the first 6 months after a breakup, she kind of hated you, even when you're a great guy? So basically that's called an RS flip, okay? So what happens is with hypergamy, the guy who has the strong frame and the most validation and the most state. So it's these three things. Watch this, okay? Strong, high certainty. Say high certainty.
High certainty.
AKA strong frame. Okay, so like ultra high certainty. In other words, the guy with the strong frame, pay attention, is shooting out the pings, but not absorbing the pings.
Yeah.
Got that? Please pay attention. He's shooting out the pings, he's not absorbing the pings. So if he gets a congruence test, it doesn't phase him because he's shooting out the pings, not absorbing the pings. Okay? So strong frame is one. The other is internal validation, which, if we're being honest, if he was dating a lot of women, it's basically just not validation reliant on one woman. It's healthier for you if you can direct that validation entirely internal. But the way that biology was set up was it was meant, okay, before self-help courses, pay attention, before like meditation and Eastern philosophy and Zen and Buddhism, and before, Tony Robbins, humans were not that intelligent in some cases to learn about self-love, okay? We didn't know about self-love or internal validation. I mean, maybe we did, who knows, right? But the way that it would have worked was that, here's how, please pay attention. Please pay attention. Here's how it would have worked. The guy who was the most adapted to that environment would get all the validation. So let's say that let's say that whatever height you are and body type you are and intelligence you have made you very effective at hunting, made you very effective at bringing home food. How would people start treating you? Women would start having sex with you. Men would start pandering you because you'd have leverage. You'd have all the leverage because they need you to survive. That would start validating you. And then what would happen is your frame would get stronger. You'd feel totally validated. And your winner effect, your state would go up. Then what happens is a cycle. Pay attention to the upward spiral or downward spiral. Have you ever had it where you went to a club, start talking to women, and they start liking you just for whatever reason on a given night? And what happened was more and more liked you, and as more and more liked you, you suddenly felt very certain in your frame. Yes. You ever had that experience? Yeah. Like you tell a joke expecting it to hit. Yes. Okay, you take pauses when you feel like it. Right? So the strong frame comes in the eye contact, the joke that has certainty, the story that you told with certainty. The internal validation comes from taking a pause. Maybe she pulls back and you don't care. That's where the validation comes from. State, winner effect, that is exhibited in lateral thinking and vocal projection. I say lateral thinking. Lateral thinking. Vocal projection. Vocal projection. Yeah, by the way, this is a university level course on this. It sucks that universities don't know this. They should, and they don't teach it. But they go, it's looks and money. They're so pathetic. They're such a joke. None of them even went out and tried to talk to people and test it. They just bring a little notepad out with their theory of like, well, it's the height, so da-da. Now, why is it, if being 6 feet was so damn important as it is today, how come we didn't all evolve to be 6 feet? If being ripped was so important, why did we not all evolve to be ripped? Why? Because historically, shorter men were superior. This is not a joke, this is not a cope, okay? I know you're like, oh, tell me this cope, dude. Okay? Shorter men regulated heat better. Shorter men had less cancer, by the way, okay? Because all that height thing, like if you're really tall, make sure that you have a really good diet, okay? So there's less over-cell reproduction. In some cases, could run below a tree line if they're chasing an animal. A shorter guy could jump off of a boat to go fishing by holding their breath and go down and fish. A shorter guy might be able to climb up a tree. A shorter guy, again, it was heat regulation. Oh, needs less calories to live. So nature does tests. It'll make some people tall, some people short. Many of the shorter people, that's where they were. That's why a lot of guys are not 6 feet tall. Now, in a society of hyperabundance and hyper amounts of calories, now height is at a premium. But historically, it was not. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, look, it's the same thing as people from climates where it's blasting with sun. They have darker skin to protect from sun. People from climates where there's no sun would get pasty white to absorb vitamin D. If you've got really dark skin, you may want to supplement vitamin D. Do some research, check your levels. Absolutely fucking do it. During COVID, a lot of people with darker skin got worse affected. Why? Their vitamin D levels are down. Okay, very important. So we are adaptive. Now, here's what happens to you. Watch this, okay? Another key thing. This is pretty potent shit. What your brain will do is it will, this is so damn existential. Just please listen to me. I'm screaming to the heavens. Just listen, man. All right. So what happens is, when you see me get like this, I get emotional about it. It's because it's just how fucked society is that we don't teach this in school. It makes me so mad. And how much it affects you. So what happens, here's what's going on. It's so bad. If you learn the things that I'm showing you here, and you start to have a strong frame, and you start to get internally validated, and you have a lot of lateral thinking, good eye contact, body language, vocal projection, do you understand that when I'm projecting like this, I'm not trying to project, it's because I feel safe. You project more when what?
You
feel safe, okay? So your voice just opens up when you feel safe. You don't want to have it clamped and then force it out. That'll fry you. You want to feel safe. So what happens is that when you do that, like if you're in a restaurant and you suddenly have a strong frame, you suddenly feel internally validated, and you suddenly have your winner effect turn on, you start joking around, and you got all these hilarious jokes, hilarious stories, which follow this. Look at the chain of upward spiral. The strong frame and the internal validation gets you more attention. As you get more attention, your state goes up, your brain neurochemistry changes. Do you guys know Robert Sapolsky? Yes. He did experiments on baboons. He studied the brain chemistry and the immune system, okay? So when you feel alpha, you're, according to Robert Sapolsky, not me, but Robert Sapolsky, what he would say is your immune system goes up, you don't get sick like that. I don't teach medical advice, I'm giving the research of Robert Sapolsky, and you have to be very careful about giving medical advice. I'm not giving medical advice. And then from there, your brain turns on. Do you ever just feel confident in some environment and you suddenly become like a genius? Yeah. Jokes are flying, you're singing, you're doing imitations. You're like, I can't even do an imitation. I'm doing a perfect imitation of a, Indian guy or something, right? Naan kabur, butter chicken, and suddenly it's just cranking out, right? You couldn't do that before. Singing, you're dancing. When women see that you can free associate with lateral thinking and just say these like funny twists and turns, they get crazy attracted. When you talk logical, you know what they think? His winner effect is down. And he's trying to overcompensate by talking logic. The high value guy could joke around and vibe because his winner effect is on. That's why vibing is so potent, okay? So then what happens is when you do this, in an upward spiral, more and more women and guys like you, and your confidence shoots up. You become funnier, more certain, and more internal validation. Pow! Super strong. But then what happens is that when things go bad, confidence goes down, certainty goes down, lateral thinking goes down. That's why men are tested when things go wrong. How strong is your frame? And women will test that frame. Now, so that's upward spiral, downward spiral. You ever go out and you start crushing it, and you're like walking on fucking water, or you go out and you hit a downward spiral and you can't even talk to anyone and everyone thinks you suck. You ever feel that? Yeah. Now, why do I disagree with these looks of money, guys? Because on those nights that that's happened to me, I'm still the same height. I'm still the same beard. I'm still the same pot belly. I'm still the same money. Where I disagree with most gurus, and they're wrong, they don't have 25,000 hours of experience. They're fucking wrong. They, follow this, so key. They believe that a man's sexual market value is static moment to moment based on looks and money. I believe that a man's, and they believe it can be changed over a long period by hiding away from reality and building money, hiding away from the world and building muscle. You know, so you go away for a decade, build muscle, build money, then a decade later you emerge and you present yourself to the world. One of my favorite gurus who teaches money, who I think is dope, he actually is an acquaintance of mine, I love him to death. He said, just go away, build, and then present yourself to the world. Okay, but what I tell you is really important, man.
Will you define lateral thinking?
Basically, like, if you've ever seen me vibe, it's like a joke, another joke, free associate. Oh, then this happened, ha. Oh no, but you're like this. No, what? Yeah, right, are you crazy? It's just free associating laterally. I'm lateral thinking now by generating a seminar from thin air. Do you know how high my winner effect has to be to generate this? That's how I'm doing it. I'm demoing this in real time. No one can do speeches like this. I got this with lateral thinking. But now here's what guys say. They go, well, Owen, you had a room full of people that are looking up to you. So as a result of that, that's why your winner effect is up. Well, guess what? I also do cold environments. I go into bars and clubs. I'm even better in a bar and club when I don't have a cult following around me. I'm better. Like sometimes I'll do frame control battles with people, and then I'll post an Instagram reel, and people say, well, yeah, but you're the guru. What'd you do? Bring in a bunch of people where you have control of the environment to, like, you know, beat them down metaphorically, right? But what they're not seeing is that right after the seminar ended, where do we go? Like, you've been out with me before. Yeah. Is my frame as strong when I'm out at a club as here? Stronger. Yeah. So I do, because I dial it up. I try to be nice to you guys, so I dial it down to be polite and civil. And I ain't polite and civil all the time. So, you know, so I dial it up. So I don't need to have a bunch of people validating me because I've gone out 25 years and had validation pulled again and again and again. I know the secrets to raise my winner effect. Approach all. Minimize time between interaction. Every interaction is 1,000 out of 10. Active state control. Controlling your focus. Controlling your physiology. Take so much action you get out of thinking mind. I know all this stuff. That's why I'm so damn in a flow and fluid. I wasn't born in a flow. I understand what? Say active state control.
Active state control.
1,000 out of 10.
1,000 out of 10.
Minimize time between interaction.
Minimize time between.
Control your perception of the interaction.
Control perception.
Yeah, so I take the lesson. If it was like not a good vibe, I take the lesson, but I overall give myself credit for the fact that I even had the balls to do that. Who the fuck would have the balls to do that? Say it.
Who the fuck would have the balls?
Yeah. So if I control, say I control my criteria for success. So here's what most guys do. They go out and talk to people. Oh, rejection. Oh, feel bad. Oh, rejection. Oh, feel bad. And they're like a leaf in the wind. If I say to myself, I'm just going to go talk to every single person from here to the back of the room, and as long as I had the balls to do it, and I'm minimized time between interaction, I actually did what I set out to do, which then opens my brain. My brain, it opens it up. The winner effect shows this. If you take a boxer and you put him against too hard of an opponent, and he trains on really hard opponents, he never wins, he never gets in state because he's losing and losing and losing. If you get another guy and you put him against relatively easier opponents, but you gradually ramp it up, he'll win the boxing match because he is stacking wins. Say stacking wins. Stacking. Say men have to stack wins. Men have to stack wins. By the way, that's why therapy for men cannot be the same as it is for women. Women can, like, you know, get hug and reassurance and do some yoga. For men, men have to stack wins. It's just the truth. Men have to stack wins. Look, I can tell you that I love you and you're cute and you're beautiful, and the day you're not winning, it just kills you. But if you can control your perception and focus on the positive and stack wins, see, most of us don't create our own criteria for success. We just go, oh, look, unless I'm a bazillionaire, I suck. But if you control your criteria for success and you fucking believe it and have a strong frame about it, you can control your fucking state. And that's what I'm doing out there. That's why I'm so good. I'm a master of getting winner effect like that. Yep.
Owen, if you go to a bar, how long do you think it's gonna take you to get social proof to be so loud? Because
some nights right away, some nights you're hating yourself. Look, bro, I've been to war metaphorically, okay? I've slayed dragons metaphorically. Sometimes, bro, One problem, another problem, another problem, another problem, another problem. Problem's compounding. And then, oh, it's training time. I've got to take some guys out. And it fucking sucks, okay? It's really fucking hard. And that's where I learned over the years that if some guy flew in from South Africa to do training with me, he doesn't want to hear excuses. So I trained myself over the years to never fail. So that's what has to happen. But some guys will make their whole criteria for success, did one person like me? I say, did I go out, talk to everybody, and build momentum so I control my state? Without that active state control, you are fucked. Now look, strength of frame, say it. Strength of frame. Validation. Winner effect. AKA state. Okay, so again, you see strength of frame because you're shooting out pings. Say, you can see strength of frame. If the guy shoots out pings, but is not absorbing pings. Because he sees the world through his own eyes. Not groupthink. Okay? You can see inner validation when the person withdraws validation and you don't care. You can see winner effect by how open the voice is, how steady eye contact is, and how much the person can do lateral thinking. Yeah, so that's why sense of humor is so important with all this. When you can joke, vibe, clown, you're sure of yourself, you're internally validated, it is absolutely savage, the results that you get. It is unreal. You've got to control your state. It's unreal. So I believe that a man's SMV, sexual market value, I don't have this belief that you have to go hide from the world, build yourself up for 10 years, and then present yourself to the world. Again, guys who I like said that. I think they're ballers, but I just think that they don't get it. I believe that a man's value is dramatically dynamic moment to moment. Say dramatically dynamic, moment to moment. Look, you ever been in a great conversation, you have a lot of attraction, and then it just, you may say one little thing that's like self-qualifying, and it kills the attraction. Yes. Okay, also, repeat this after me, never self-qualify. Never use logic. Yeah, so self-qualification and logic basically show you're trying too damn hard. Okay? It skews the buyer-seller dynamic. You're trying too hard. So get used to just self-amuse. Raise your state. Be in total abundance. Be in a flow. Be in a win streak. And then know you're the best guy in the world. Even if you're not. Okay, so in other words, look, if you jerk off, you're not actually having sex with a vagina, right? But can you make yourself think you are? Don't lie. It's the badge of shame. He doesn't like it. Okay, so it's the devil. It's the devil. The devil. Okay, wank it time. Okay? Satan whispered in my ear, wank it time. Oh, and I'm wanking it, right? So my little satanic wank. So anyway, point being, I love how you're here as goth and you're here as the church. That's quite the pairing, okay? So anyway, so look, so point being is this, okay? So basically what you have is this. So what happens is that if you can wanky and control your state, how do you do that? You're basically going, I'm fucking a pussy, I'm fucking a pussy. You're basically just simulating that in your mind. You can, if you think that if you can make yourself ejaculate in your hand, you have state control skills. You've got tremendous state control skills. Okay, also, do you remember we say control versus release? Control is like you don't have frame, but you're trying to provoke a good reaction to get frame. Control is like you don't have validation, but you're trying to provoke the person to give you validation, as opposed to releasing. Control is like you're trying to like talk logic to make the person like you, rather than release, where you're just flowing, not trying to make them like you because you have a high winner effect. Are you guys, is this beginning to make more sense now? Yeah. This has never been explained this well. Are you getting it? Yeah. Okay, so this is the truth. This is the truth. And every other model of attraction is basically a lie. Although with online dating, when none of this stuff comes into play, then it's heights, looks, whatever. So now watch this, okay? This is the part that was frustrating me earlier. But let me go. So guys, so what's that?
Just saying that the quality of the girls' online dating apps is very low.
Yeah, Kevin says the quality of girls on online dating apps is low anyway. Now watch this. So what happens is, as a man, your body pings for validation. If you exhibit those traits, let's say that you're at a restaurant and your voice is loud, you're free associating, your frame is strong, internally validated, and here's the key. Rather than sucking for validation, sucking for certainty, sucking for winner effect, that's all circulating within you. Say circulating within you. And emanating out. Energy is emanating out. Okay? Then what happens is you're shooting energy out like a Care Bear. By the way, one of the ways that I could coach you is if we went out, I would just keep saying over and over, let the chips fall where they may. 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 So what happens is, say that you go on an interaction and you just truly don't try. So in other words, you know in the Bhagavad Gita, they say it's not about the result, it's about the process. When you do that, it conveys high status. Because the high status person wouldn't need the outcome for their frame, their validation, their winner effect. They wouldn't be trying to suck that from the other person. So that's why it's viewed as a value take when you do that. But when you're already steeped in good energy, you have no real outcome. But paradoxically, it's like you open your hand for the butterfly, don't try to control it, and what's the butterfly do? Lands on your fucking hand. So when you let go fully, you get into the process and the flow of the night because you're saying 1,000 out of 10 or however you're training your brain. Okay? So you get into flow. So then what happens is you get in that flow. Your brain detects if in this particular generation, your DNA is the DNA that needs to reproduce the most. This is so powerful to understand. So a short king, maybe, your DNA is thinking in terms of how many years? Millions. Millions. Human beings have been around for millions of years. Homo erectus, all that. So your DNA says, do I need, is this the generation that I should become the alpha, maybe have to fight off other men, and then reproduce a lot? Or should I keep a low profile? Should I keep my head down, just have a baby with maybe just one woman? So the alpha has 300 babies, and you just kind of go for maybe one baby. Now, here's why. This is so key. Our DNA is always auditing whether to be in a thrive or a cope. The dinosaurs, compared to a shrew, who was thriving, who was coping? Dinosaurs, big, powerful, dominating the earth for millions and millions and millions and millions of years. The shrew, small, keeping its head down under the ground. Asteroid comes, the shrew survives, eventually evolves to a monkey, eventually evolves to a human. The person who kept his head down won out in the long run. Your DNA is playing a long game. If your DNA does not get the validation that you're the fucking man, it will lower your winner effect, it will lower your brain chemistry, and get you to keep your head down and not reproduce. Your brain knows, here's what your brain knows. So if I'm at a restaurant and I have a strong frame, strong validation, strong certainty, strong winner effect, etc., women will come up to me at the table. When I learned this, and I was in my early 20s, I was shocked where I'd be sitting at a table, and after years of being really lonely and really shy, girls would just jump at here's what you'd feel, okay? The girl would just jump up and you go, hi. They go, hi. They just jump up, they go, hi. What's your name? You go, when you're new to this, you can't, your brain is exploding. My name's Owen. Hi. Cool, right? And then she just starts looking at you, right? And then you start kissing. And you're like, this is crazy, right? Well, now the girl kissed you, what just happened? Your winner effect.
Went up.
So it happens 3 times in a night. That's why I tell you it's easier to meet 20 women a night than one. To meet one woman with low winner effects is very hard. But if go, hi, and then jumps on you, sometimes they straddle you. When you're doing the things I'm saying, sometimes they straddle you. They jump over, hi. Real crazy results are that's the tip of the iceberg. I'm talking real crazy. I'm talking, things get popping fast. Things get popping, bro. Bro. It moves, you never heard the Ron Burgundy? Well, that escalated quickly. I'm talking the whole deal, the whole kit and caboodle happens like that. And you're like, whoa. That's not real life. You can't believe it, right? Back in the day, you might have courted a woman for 6 months before you had sex. Now, some girl just jumps you and drags you into a bathroom, and you're like, what the hell just happened, okay? But funny enough, after you got dragged in the bathroom, what happened to your winner effect?
Goes up.
So then what happens?
Happens again.
That's why guys report, say they went home with someone, they go back to the club, it happens again. Go back to the club, happens again, because they're in a spiral. But the truth is you shouldn't rely on that, because some of my mentors would get hooked on women's validation, and on one bad night, they'd want to blow their own brains out. It's actually very bad to be hooked on that validation. You've got to learn how to generate it yourself. So my great moments of pride were when I was having bad events in my life, and I stepped up. That's when the man is really formed, is under pressure when the man stepped up. You know, I'd have like a 1,000-person event in New York City, my life's going bad, and I'd go there, and I'd be like, man, I feel like shit, I just want to shrink, I just want to hide, and I'd go in there and I'd fucking smash it. That's when the man is born, from the boy. Okay, not when everything's going great and he's riding a win streak. That's like more of like a Justin Bieber vibes. When the man is formed is when he has to come back from the abyss, and he just controls his state, controls his frame, controls his state, controls validation, stays locked in. It's like when Tom Brady was down 28-3, and he didn't let it get him down. That's when the man is formed. That's when you go from boy to a man.
It's like when you learn to make yourself laugh and you can push your own buttons really easily.
You make yourself laugh, you can push your own buttons, you control your own confidence, okay? So, yep.
Well, there's that time you put out that video where you had worked for like a year and you couldn't even get people to stop. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yeah.
And you went, what happened?
Yeah, because again, in the same way that I have tested going out with a bunch of guys, some are better looking, some are less good looking, and it didn't make a big impact, I've also tested locking myself away a lot and making an extra 2-3 million in a year. And I'm like, oh, well, now that I have 2 or 3 million, everyone's gonna love me. I go out, my frame is weak, everything sucks, because here's what I've been doing. Rather than saying, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, and just partying out like I'm Drake or like a club promoter having fun, like just some fuckboy, instead what I do is I go, I'll be the man when. 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 When I have the million, I'm the man. Then I'm in the gym, I'm cutting carbs, I'm getting leaner. I'll be the man when. 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 So I get to that, 6% body fat, or I get to that million, but I have worse results. That's what people keep thinking. They keep saying that I say looks and money don't matter because like I have a social skills training when my main money maker is a wealth building course. I'm saying this so guys don't misunderstand attraction, because they'll do that bullshit of go away for 10 years and present yourself to the world and you'll be rich, which is cool, but it won't work. Do you guys understand how many roid gym rat guys that I see out and then the person they came with jumps onto me? Do you know how much that's happening? It's insane. It's fucking crazy. So it's, again, strong frame, inner validation, high winner effect, good subcommunication that comes from that, lateral thinking, vibes, and being a great LARPer. Okay? You see the video I did on LARPing? Knowing how to play. That comes from having a high winner effect. Being a great LARPer, playing and role-playing and being silly comes from that. Okay, or if you're more mysterious, right? You don't always have to be silly. That just helps with competing stimulus in an environment. Maybe you're grounded and you just walk up and the energy, it's just as you look out and the energy's shooting out of your eyes. Do you guys understand that? It's like energy shoots out of your damn eyes. And they go, I love your energy. They feel the containment. They feel good. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, so that's the model of attraction. Yes?
I got a quick question. When you're testing this in the field, should you practice one thing at a time? Like practicing winner?
But I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't fucking know. Just fucking go out, man. I'm just out there all the time. I'm out there all the time. I don't think it's not that deep, bro. I'm just observing. So, but I like your question. Now watch this. Like even that moment where I go, I'm all the time like that. That's winner effect. That's lateral thinking. It's like jokes, playful, as opposed to, that they don't care about that. Now let's look at what's happening to society. Let me show you definitively where the male loneliness epidemic is coming from, why the church is drawing in all these men, and what the hell is going on. Ready for this? I'm the only person in the world who understands this, and I don't want to make this to be my brand. I don't want to be known for this. This is not the hill I want to die on. I'm sharing it so that eventually, I don't think I can stop what's going to happen. I'm basically just trying to make this as like, in 1,000 years when they look back at what this was, someone had the answer. That's it. I don't think the average guy is going to listen. I'm like Noah with Noah's Ark here. Like, the flood's coming. No one's going to listen. They're going to laugh at me. And that's fine. And I can't control the damn world. But for anyone who's interested, I can tell you what's going on. Okay, so here's what's happening. All right. So there's something called the Chesterton's fence. The Chesterton's fence is a concept created by G.K. Chesterton. What that concept was that let's say you had a farm, and 300 years ago, the farm put up a fence, okay, on your farm. Now, today you buy the farm, and you find this weird-ass fence. You go, why'd those old fogies put up a fence? What was those little old fogies doing putting a fence up? I don't want the fence. Kick it down. Those old fogies, their old values and ways of life were dumb. Kick the fence down in the attempt to make progress and be progressive, okay? So you kick down the fence. You don't know why it's there, because everyone who could have told you why it's there is dead. So you get rid of that custom, that fence. Next thing you know, wolves are coming eating your cattle, you're getting a flood, you fucked up the whole ecosystem, and the whole farm falls apart. Because the fence, the G.K. Chesterton fence, as a metaphor, was something that existed, but it was a custom that we didn't know why we had it, okay? Here's what was going on. Before, what the patriarchy is mostly bad, okay? Women were burned at the stake, women were abused, women were harmed, women couldn't vote, women couldn't drive, women couldn't get a job, women couldn't get equal work for equal pay. Women dealt with a lot of shit. Meanwhile, men were often out killing each other in wars, ransacking each other's villages, doing a lot of bad stuff. Women's complaint about the patriarchy is not unfounded. But as we move out of it and transcend the patriarchy, we do have to have some sense of where we're going, okay? So here's what the patriarchy was doing. For all of human civilization, one man was mating with like most of the women. Even, people are like, that's not true. Even now, 10% of the men are mating with 58% of the women, and we're not even in the back caveman days, and that's happening now, okay? So what the patriarchy did was it was communism for beta male men to find a mate. That's what patriarchy ultimately was. Like when a woman says, I want to have a job, I want to make my own money, I want to have my freedom, a big part of that, not even conscious, but unconscious, it's unconscious, is I want to have sex with a guy that I'm attracted to and not have to have sex with a goddamn beta male, right? Well, here's the difference with men and women. Let me ask you a question. If you could have a girl who you're ultra attracted to come over, okay, you'd make your own money, and a girl who for you is a perfect 10 would come over, have sex with you, super hot, very sexy, and she would just show up at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday and leave, but then from there you'd make your own money. Would you prefer that, or would you rather be with a 4 or a 5, and while you're with the 4 or the 5, they control your bank account? But you don't work. You don't have to work, which is nice. Which would you pick?
First one.
Yep, first one.
Well, guess what? Women, by and large, what the stats bear out is that they pick that too. But here's why you wouldn't necessarily do it. What if that top 1% woman was getting cream pied by 20 other men that week? Would you want to put yourself into the cream pie of 20 men? Well, some of these weird dudes with Bonnie Blue do, but but most wouldn't. Most wouldn't, right? Unless that's your kink. So why do we get grossed out by that, but women don't as much? Because a woman always knows that she's the mom, but you don't always know that you're the dad. That's the key to the whole linchpin, by the way. The woman knows she's the mom. So if that guy had sex with a bunch of other women that week, she's still getting the best seed. So she still gets to reproduce with the best guy. As a man, you might raise somebody else's kid. So so biology generates sickening feeling of disgust. So what happens is that men are not going to share the perfect 10 woman and have a 20-man cream pie in. But for women, while a lot of women would obviously dispute this and say, no, I am looking for commitment and so on and so forth, the reality is that most girls in their early 20s, when they have a choice and they're not looking for provisioning, are mostly just dating like the same couple guys, okay? Like I've been to the Justin Bieber concert, okay? Like, did you guys ever see the video from Coachella with Bieber where Billie Eilish goes up on stage and gets hugged by Bieber, and there's 100,000 women there crying and shrieking and convulsing, and all that Bieber did was give her a hug. All that Bieber is some little kid he's a grown man who looks like a kid on a lot of drugs and depressed and fucked in the head. But because all that it takes is for him to be the most popular and women obsess over him. Now, here's where it gets interesting. His drug use, his hoodies that he wears, his lack of effort, and by the way, this is powerful. Do you guys know what his presentation was at Coachella? A laptop. So who was the Latina girl who went up? It was Carol G. Carol G goes up and spent millions on her presentation. Bieber just rolls in with a hoodie, puts on a laptop, $0 spent on it, has a hoodie on, not like a nice suit, plays YouTube videos while women scream and go psychotic while he's probably on drugs. The drugs, the hoodie, and the lack of effort represent him as the town sperm provider. He's the cum provider. So all the other men should work. He doesn't work. So as the women are around him screaming and going crazy, okay? Screaming and going crazy. What that indicates is that, okay, so in other words, his drug use and his lack of effort paradoxically indicate that there's no self-qualification. Do you guys catch that? Like his whole presentation was meant to say, I won't self-qualify. He has he's a guy with average genetics. He even has a hair transplant, I think. He's in front of a group of women in a hoodie. He's not the best artist. He's not the most talented. But just because he has the most social proof, that's what matters. Whatever doctor or lawyer or person who benefits society that would eventually marry Billie Eilish, will she cry and convulse and shriek over getting a hug from him? So what had, in a matriarchy, what has value to a woman? Social proof. Now, guys want to wipe this away. They say, well, yeah, but Justin Bieber's a celebrity and they followed him since they're younger, all that. Fair enough. It should still tell you the truth. Do you understand? Chris Brown does a lot of horrible things, but a girl gets up on that, it's called the little couch. One of our buddies, me and Marcel, one of our buddies, his girlfriend puts, oh, I'm going to the Chris Brown concert tonight. I hope I get on a little couch. She puts it in a story right in front of his fucking face. What do you think would happen if she gets on that little couch? So Chris Brown, what does he do? He dances. He goes, Like, what does he actually, he basically does a lot of drugs. What does the guy even contribute to society? A lot of these guys like Chris Brown or Jay Bieber look very dark in the eyes because they're on drugs. But that, ironically, this is ultra advanced. This will go way over all your guys' heads, but for like that one person, like 10 years, like gets this. The more that you're connected to the physical, the more you're disconnected from God. So often the most popular men, because they've had that much sex, become disconnected from God because they got too much validation. And that look of being disconnected from God because they got too much validation becomes attractive to some women because it indicates that their SMV is high. Because it indicates they had a lot of sex. So ironically, that beautiful, sweet, nice look in a man's eyes, that brightness, can indicate low sexual market value. And under the darkness that came from like all the guys have been doing is having sex with girls all day, he loses his connection to God because he had external validation all day, sex all day, it put him in the physical, it put the creation before the creator. So a lot of these guys that you see that are like having sex all day often have a bit of low vibe energy in the pupils if you know how to read it. And that becomes actually a sign of attraction. You go out, those guys, like you see these like guys with low vibe in their pupils and the girls are crawling at them. It's very bizarre. Very, very bad. So if you learn about how to be successful women, make sure that you do it from a healthy place, not a place where you enjoy the flow and the process, not a place where you're obsessed with the result. That was so profound what I just told you. So please, it took me decades to understand that. That thing where you're the town cum provider, that is the optimized man under the matriarchy. The most popular and the guy who provides the best seed. So under a patriarchy, okay, what is the behavior of a man who has the best seed in a caveman tribe? What is the behavior? Yep.
Dominance, resourcefulness, being very loud, being very free.
Yeah, how about his attachment to anything? No. Does he self-qualify?
No.
Does he chase?
No.
Does he give a fuck?
No.
If the girl says, I'm leaving you, does he even blink?
No.
Okay? So, how hard is it to self-generate a strong frame, internal validation, and lateral thinking like aka winner effect, brain neurochemistry. How hard is it to self-generate that for the average person? For the average person, if they haven't consciously learned it, it's virtually impossible. So that's why it's called an honest signal, because unless I taught it to you or someone did, it's virtually impossible. So then what happens is this. That is such an honest signal. Is getting the door hard? Could a beta male do it? Is pulling out the chair hard? Could a beta male do it? Is being on time hard? Could a beta male do it? So what the patriarchy did was it framed, and the church, was it frame controlled women to believe that a man who is reliable, a man who's deeply in love, a man who is consistent, a man who shows up early, a man who's fully there for her, a man who tells her she's beautiful, gives her a flower, a man who, calls a lot and makes sure everything's good. Under the patriarchy, women were frame controlled to believe that was an alpha male. So the way that they cast it, it was cast like this. A beta male is too much of a little boy to get the door. A beta male is too dumb and low functioning to pull out the chair. A beta male can't figure out how to provide, so he can't pay for dinner. An alpha male, he figured out how to provide, so he paid for dinner. An alpha male knows what he wants. He's a grown man, not a little boy. So those behaviors of being highly, and here's the biggest one of all. This is so crazy. This is a nuke. This is a nuke. It's a nuke. What you call falling in love is actually, and I'm going to explain, satanic. What is Satanism at its core? Satanism at its core is putting the creator before the creation. Okay? So when a beta male falls in love, okay, in other words, you disconnect from God and you gain your sustenance from like a watch or money. Have you ever noticed that when you're in love, it's ultra selfish and all you're doing is just trying to get that chemical from the girl that you're in love with? You want to cuddle her all day, fuck her all day, talk to her all day. It's actually a very selfish place to be in. But what the patriarchy did that was beautiful was what it did was it took, so now can an alpha male have that kind of deep neediness, clinginess that we call falling in love if he has 10 women? No. So like can Leo DiCaprio get to a space where he's like so obsessed? Can he go into obsession? No. If he's surrounded by women, can he get there? No. Why will his brain not even go there? It can't. It can't. Why can't it? What's that? Too much validation. If I've got a room full of you guys, could I get obsessed over any one of you? No. Would my brain let me? Like if I was like, I've got to get his approval. I'd have to fool myself in some weird way to get obsessed with one person's approval, right? Okay. So an alpha can't do that. But a beta, have you ever had it where you're dating like 10 women and then you can't get obsessed with any of them? Then you finally do get a girlfriend. Now you have no women. And then when you come out of the relationship, you start falling in love like all the time because you're this broken, needy little soul. Have you ever had it where you're just falling in love with every damn girl you talk to sometimes because you're so needy? Yeah. I have. If you haven't, that's weird to me. You ever had it where you just like every girl that you're talking to, like that it looks like it might work, you just start obsessing over? Yeah. Does it ever work with, does it ever get you the girl? No. So what the patriarchy did, this is so crazy, this is a nuke, was it took something that actually was evil, which is disconnecting from God and becoming obsessed with another person, which feels really good. Like when you are obsessed with a girl, but you get her, like which you almost never do. But that odd time when you do, how good does it feel when you're lying in bed together? It's a high, man. But it's a high like a drug. Why does drugs feel good to people? It's satanic. You're disconnecting from God, you're connecting purely in the physical, and it's just feeding you a high. That's why it feels good. But what do we know about drugs? What goes up? What? How do you feel after a crazy obsessive relationship? Do you go back to normal baseline? No. Do you go back, well, how do you feel after? It's a crash that is in proportion to how high it was. What the church and the patriarchy did was it said, you can engage in that obsessive beta male love where you put this girl as your priority, but you must bring God into the relationship too. So what it did, what the church was meant to do, was it was intended to allow you to be obsessed with a girl and for her to be obsessed with you. But remember that under the church, there's three beings in the relationship. It's you, your wife, and who? And God. So, in other words, watch this. When you pray, the right way to pray before food is when you go to eat, you might want to go like that. But if you look at this amazing food and you pray, you reground internally so that you're not, right? So that you don't lose connection to the divine. So you say grounded. So you, rather than being a taker, what's the word when you pray first? You receive. It means you receive. What's the difference between taking and receiving? Receiving is from a place of gratitude, a place of groundedness, like, oh, thank you. Thank you, God. This is beautiful food. Let me enjoy it. You're always first, God, but I'll enjoy this food. How about when you just smash the food? Does that make you more conscious or less conscious? Less conscious. When you're just fucking a girl who you're obsessed with, are you more conscious or less conscious? Less. But what if you bring God into it? And you say, thank you, God. You brought me my wife, and we'll be fruitful together, and we'll have a beautiful family. Well, now that's not done from lust. That's done for God, right? So what the church did was it took something that would be sinful, what sinful mean, just disconnected from God, and we bring God into it. It's not lustful, and then we can actually be obsessed with our wives, and it's very beautiful. Now, because what is this that I'm explaining? Say the Chesterton's fence. Because we kicked this down. We kicked this down, okay? Nobody's getting this, okay? We kicked it down. So what happens is that we had a Chesterton's fence that let us be a beta male. It let us obsess with a girl, fall in love with her. It let us court her, be nice to her, and provide for her. But what happened was, we didn't go into Satanism, metaphorical Satanism, because we stayed connected to God within the obsessive relationship, and we could provide for her and do a great job for her, but we wouldn't be a beta male because the patriarchy in church frame controlled it to where behavior that's really kind of beta, like getting the door, getting on one knee. What is getting on one knee? Beta male. But under the church and a patriarchy, what is getting on one knee? It's alpha. It shows that you can do a proper proposal. You're not such a derper that you flub the proposal. It shows that you honor her. So old school dating before abortion, before birth control, because abortion and birth control are relatively recent in some ways, was about showing the girl that if you got pregnant by me, I will be a good dad. A date was actually a simulation of how well you could take care of her if she got pregnant. Let me ask you a question. If you're a woman and you don't have birth control and you don't have condoms, you don't have birth control, you don't have abortions, and you're gonna fuck, say you're horny, you do wanna fuck, make love, so to speak, right? You wanna make love, okay? You want to be fucked. What would you wanna see from the man that was fucking you? If there was no abortion, no birth control, what would you wanna see from him that would make you feel safe to be fucked? Would being very consistent help? Would devotion help? Yeah. Would being a gentleman help? A date was a preview of if she was in her brain, unconsciously or even consciously, it's like, if I was 8 months pregnant, what's it like being with this man? Is he gonna run away? Is he gonna leave me as a single mom? You guys see that? So that was the old way under the patriarchy. The world is changing dramatically, guys. We're under a matriarchy now. Women have 65% of the money. That's not true. Women have 65% of college graduation. Women have 65% of new homes. Women have 65% of new jobs, etc. They don't need a man. They do not need a man, okay? But that was what the patriarchy did, was the patriarchy outsourced frame control. Say the patriarchy. Outsourced frame control. How did that benefit the woman at the time? It meant that the man, here's the main key to all of it, by the way. It meant the man didn't have to spend 4 hours a day working on swag. Right? What would advance society more? 4 hours a day working on swag? Or that same hours working at the construction factory, or working at the steel mill, or being a fisherman, or being a carpenter, building this incredible city that we all live in now that was not all built this year, right? This city was built over many years. So that worked for society back then. It was needed for society back then. Also, if there was a war, men had a stake in the country. If I ask you guys right now, who here would die for their country today when you don't have a wife, you don't have kids, and you kind of just feel like you're almost protecting like a blue-haired girl with a nose ring who hates you? Who here would go die for the blue-haired girl with the nose ring who hates you? Who wants to die for her? Right? But what if it's your beautiful wife and your kids? You gonna let them take over?
No.
Fuck no, you're not. Fuck no. You're gonna stop that no matter what. Right? So now the men don't have a stake in the country anymore, and we have about 30% of the men called NEETs, no income, education, or training, or entrepreneurship. They've given up. The bottom 30% of men have just given up. They just play video games, smoke weed, whack off, whatever, or get angry. Now, under a matriarchy, if a girl, it's not that she wants to share, but she'd rather share than have to endure getting impregnated by a beta male. So that's where you have 10% of men having sex with 58% of women. And again, the other, for the 80 to 90 is probably the other big chunk. So everyone below the 80th percentile, the ratio is just not there. What's happening to population? What's happening to population right now? There's entire countries like Italy and Japan, et cetera, that may not even exist soon. Okay? Now, here's where this gets so... You think this shit's crazy? You better buckle up, buddy, because this is about to get crazy. This is like we're getting more towards the end of the movie where it gets even crazier. Human beings tend to be very adaptable. We tend to adapt our society to the needs of society. Back in the day, we needed more population. Back in the day, we needed more things being built. But eventually, overpopulation kicks in. Eventually, pollution kicks in. And eventually, we have enough people. Look, I'm not liking this. I'm just telling you what I believe is happening. A couple things to be aware. Almost every major men's coach, ultra canceled. Think about that. Why? It was increasing population. From there, okay? Got it? Okay. Because it was slowing down the matriarchy emergence. But also, what is coming in the future? Robots? Do we need a ton of labor if robots are a couple years away? Artificial intelligence, what they believe, now it might kill all of us, but the people who believe in it believe, some of these people are transhumanists, some of these people are Satanists, but the point is that they believe that we're moving towards what's called a universal high income. So under a society with robots and universal high income, do you want lower quantity, higher quality? Or do you see what I'm saying here? Like, so in other words, if the betas stop mating, and if most of the betas stop mating, the way that they're probably seeing it, the way this is evolving, what I'm seeing happening personally, is basically this. We don't need legions of men anymore reproducing. They probably instinctually as humanity, look, I'm not pro this, I think it's fucked. I'm just making the point of what I think is happening. We basically take the bottom 30% of chumps not reproducing now, so going back to more quality, and we go to less quantity. You see what's happening? Less, because what if we go to 30 million people, 30 billion, 40 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion? How many billion are we at now? Where was it going for quite a while? What was the fear for quite a while? Global warming,
Resource scarcity.
Resource scarcity, over farming, soil's getting depleted, ozone layer, global warming. Some it's true, some could be a hoax, I don't know. I have no opinion. Now, from there, okay, here's where this is gonna probably go. If you go to a place like Turning Point USA, that is an incubator for forward-thinking conservative thought. That was the group that Charlie Kirk ran. So if you go to Turning Point, the things that they're kind of tabling there wind up being mainstream within 5 years. Okay? If you want to know where the matriarchy is, here's how I figured out what it was. I had a girl I was seeing, and we broke up for a bit, and I kind of missed her, and there was this new feature on Instagram that showed what people who you follow closely are clicking on and liking. And it literally came in right, like that new feature was added right when we were having the friction and we later broke up. But I kind of missed her, so I was like, I wonder what she's looking at. And I see all these really toxic videos saying all this crazy shit. And I'm like, I can't believe she's watching this. Why does she even like me? I even hate me after watching this shit. Jeez. Okay? Let me show you the themes of some of the videos. Now, I don't have a problem with, like there's a lot of, one of the main ones is called decentering men. Look, if there's some niche, if some girl just doesn't want to have kids, like that's chill, like that's fine. But what will often happen is that little niche eventually gets mainstreamed. And people say, oh, that niche isn't mainstreamed. We're in population collapse. What are you talking about? Of course it's mainstreamed. So here would be like some of the kind of, videos.
I can't deny that it has been really interesting to witness the switch up that's happened between men and women wanting families. You know, as a millennial woman myself, I cannot help but see the oxymoron, because when we was younger, as younger women, you know, we were conditioned by men not to ask for more, not to talk about kids and marriage because you'd scare them off, and you were the clingy ones if you ever talked about those desires, you know what I mean?
Why were the women the clingy ones? Because under a patriarchy, they couldn't get a job, couldn't get a job easily, couldn't get equal pay for equal work, couldn't get a car, couldn't get a loan, couldn't get a house. That raised the status of beta males. Do you guys see what happened? Do you guys see? If a girl can't vote, get a car, get a job, etc., can't go to college, what does that do to a beta male? She now needs a beta male to live her life. So the patriarchy made it where a beta male seemed alpha, plus the church and patriarchy was frame controlling beta male behavior as alpha.
Calling the woman the old ball and chain, if you was married to her. And now more than ever, women don't want to have kids and women don't want to marry men. And I just think it's hilarious now, because what we have is men wanting those things, those traditional life values that they seem to want suddenly so much that they never did before when women wanted them as a collective. And now they're shaming us into marriage and kids with them. And I think it's just hilarious, the switch up, because how's that working out for you fellas? It doesn't look like it's working out so well. I can't deny that it has been really interesting
and the thing is, like, also, women are getting the point that they want to be more, developed before having kids. So watch, this is a girl actually openly talking about it, and she's a really cool girl, this girl. Oh, to be clear too, again, I have no problem with that girl not wanting kids. Like some guys guys go to her comments and start shaming her for not wanting kids. If a woman doesn't want to have kids, she doesn't want to have kids. You don't need to give her shit about it. You don't need to be afraid of that. But what I'm commenting on is that's getting mainstreamed now. Got it? For example, I think far leftist people are pretty funny oftentimes. I like far leftist people. I don't think it should be mainstream and they should take over big tech. Do you see the difference? If someone moves to Portland and they want to join Antifa, I don't care. Go join Antifa in Portland. I don't want them running the country's primary systems. You see the difference? Some things should stay a niche. Some things can fit as mainstream. So as a niche, her just saying, I'm decentering men, fine. The question is when that becomes mainstream, the population collapses. But anyway, watch.
I have a lot of people ask me this in my DMs. And I was thinking about this because I'm driving really far today. So I was let me articulate this in a way that people can understand. But to understand, I need to start from the beginning. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. Heartbreak brought me to the place that I am. I was married, and I was not the best wife. Not that he was the best husband. But I think at the time with what we had, we did the best. Love him dearly, wish the best for him, and I know he does for me as well. After that divorce, I went out on the dating scene as a very emotionally unavailable woman and was trying to fill voids within myself that nobody could fill, only me. When I realized that I wasn't getting anywhere and nobody was making me feel better about myself and the lack of love that I had, I realized I had to take time for myself and not date, but do inner work. It was then where I completely isolated, probably went into a depression, but found more out about myself and my needs than I ever thought was possible. And I'm so grateful for that time, because that's when my healing journey really began. I used to do all of the things that I speak about in my videos, and the people that I used to surround myself with did the same thing, because you are who you surround yourself with. So those toxic behaviors that I bring up in my videos are basically things that I used to do, or that I knew women would do, because we would just talk about it. I'm not proud of those moments, and I'm also not proud of partners that I have chosen before and after my healing journey. But then again, it aligned me with more of my preference and what I'm looking for as a person, as a long-term partner. I've become really driven to level up, evolve, grow, become emotionally more intelligent, more mature on a daily basis, also very successful in business. And it's hard to find men that A, don't want to compete with you, or B, don't want to use you for the success that you have. There are great men out there, and I'm not saying all of them are like this, but I've now become so particular with who I allow into my life, because I'm really happy with who I am, and I'm completely fulfilled with the version of me that I am right now, not needing validation, not needing love, not needing attention, because I feel that deeply within myself. So I'm single, not because I have to be, but because I'm choosing to be until the right partner comes into my life. I also don't tolerate a lot of BS, which has come with my growth.
So watch this. Okay, here's what's happening. Everything she says, I think in some ways is absolutely great. I see where she's coming from. I'm not critiquing that. So a common critique that's happening right now is that what a lot of girls are feeling is, of course, all these guys under the patriarchy want us to get married at 21 so they can continue their bloodline. Okay, that's what they say. Like they often mock this bloodline thing.
As a beautiful child-free woman, I'm a proud cat lady. I don't give a fuck about the declining population. Not my fucking problem, bitch. I don't give a fuck if humans go extinct.
Okay, so again, look, I'm not here to have an out. Like we're in a free country. She can do what she wants. I support her. I'm not saying that's a problem. I'm not trying to put a laser on her or something. Okay, I think she's cool. She's probably a cool person. She's probably fun to have here. I'm just making the point that a lot of these ideas are becoming mainstreamed. Okay, these are not just a niche anymore. The data bears it out. A lot of men, look, in reality, imagine that humanity has come from shrews to monkeys to all these, Homo erectus, eventually Homo sapien, all the generations that reproduce to get us to this point. So do you feel that you maybe have some kind of obligation to all your foremothers and forefathers to have children and continue they survived predators, volcanoes, ice ages to get to this point? Or do you think that you should just go to Bali, take a bunch of psychedelics, and get fucked by a fuckboy and die? Imagine that girl's great grandparent who survived, saber-toothed tiger, short-faced bear, killed woolly mammoths, and it's basically she was manipulated by social conditioning to commit genetic suicide in exchange for a DJ on Bali and psychedelics. Which if you're into Christianity is kind of viewed as a little bit witchy, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit, what would psychedelics be classified under, paganism or?
Yeah, and it's actually the fastest growing religion of young women is actually Wicca.
Yeah, Wicca. So now they're getting
Christianity for men, Wicca for women.
Yeah, so now they're getting straight demonic downloads from psychedelics, which it's a false light that appears like enlightenment, but comes with a price. I understand that you got enlightenment from it, but you've got to push for genuine enlightenment, guys. Okay? You could do a bit of it, it's not going to kill you. Look, there's sugar in this, it's not going to kill me, but in excess will. Okay? So quit while you're ahead and just take the insights. Point is this, okay? So what's going on is psychedelics, fuckboys, and Bali. Why do they love Bali? It's cheap. You can have a fun time. It's fun time. It's cheap. And there's spiritual fuckboys there that are good LARPers, and then you can hook up with them and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can have your HR job, do it remote, and go to Bali, etc. Right? It fits with the matriarchy perfect. That's why Bali is that place. Side point: what's the ultimate vehicle of the patriarchy? A Lamborghini. What's Lamborghini represent under the patriarchy? One man, one woman, and he's a good provider, and he's strong. What's the ultimate vehicle under the matriarchy? A Sprinter van. One promoter, a DJ, 12 girls, all partying together. What a lot of women are feeling right now, and I don't judge this, I'm just trying to help you to understand. What a lot of women are feeling right now is that they don't want to be around a bunch of fucking horny dudes. Another video that I had, but I'll kind of just leave this one, is she said, you know the annoying thing about men? Women said, this girl, she says, life's about the side quest. Life's not always about the main quest. Life's about the side quest. Pay attention. Life's not always about the main quest. Life's about the side quest. So she said, you know what? I had this guy I was dating, and I was with my friends dancing. And my friend said, why don't you invite him here to dance? And I said, this guy's so focused on work, he won't come dance with me. My friend said, then dump him then. Because what she said is what men will do, and pay attention, see if you relate to this, what men will do is they'll work and work and work to get laid or to get a wife. But they don't even have fun along the way. They just build. They're not having fun. That was fine under patriarchy when a woman couldn't get a job, she needed provisioning. The Chesterton fence accounted for that. What about in a world of robots, AI, and let's say AI didn't kill us, because it could, under universal high income? What will life be about at that point? The side quest, having fun, because you got robots everywhere. So do you see, so under a matriarchy, you have, a small handful of guys giving quote unquote the best genes, quote unquote. And then basically there's less population, quote unquote higher quality genes, not even necessarily true by the way, but just be some fucking dummy. But anyway, it's not a DJ is not the apex, right? But whatever. But let's just say theoretically. Okay, so you've got less population. And then what happens is that, they want to be out in the Sprinter van. Why is the Sprinter van more fun than the Lambo? The Lambo is this guy putting you in this weird cult of one. When do girls look happiest? When they're just with like that one dude? Or they're with their friends, dancing, hugging each other. A lot of girls are bisexual. And then they're out with like one club promoter. The most beautiful women that you'll ever see, if you look on Instagram, are they usually with one man? Or are they out like on a jet with 20 other women going to Dubai or going to south of France with like that one fun DJ? Do women hide that they're behind the DJ booth, indicating they're probably going to fuck a DJ, or do they flex it? Flex. Are women posting on Instagram stories, oh, I'm doing the laundry and doing the cooking for my 6 kids? Or are they posting that they got invited to Coachella? You see what's going on? Women can basically now monetize beta males en masse. You know that whole lover-provider thing? Where a girl might be, like, say a girl's in a tribe of like a small amount of people. She mostly has kids with the beta, but gets the odd genes from the alpha. Well, if she wants to now, she can literally just fuck the fuck boy and have legions of beta give her $5 a month. You see what that does? You're able to expand the reach of betas. And the beta male cuck simps pay up. These NEET guys, the NEET guys, no income or training or kids, they just pay up. And then you have these rich guys that team up with a promoter and pay for everything for the girls just to have them around. So imagine that you're a girl. Would you rather have a beta male man who's like maybe a 7 and live in a small bungalow with him? Or would you rather make your own money, which under DEI policy means you're going to get a better job, and then get flown out to Coachella and get to fuck Bieber, the famous DJ? What do you think they want to do? So, and the special thing is with beta males, a couple big critiques of beta males. Say no emotional intelligence, no social awareness, they don't get the vibe, can't read social cues, needy, heavy energy, too logical, not fun, not attractive. So what happens is that the guy, like the girl said, the men don't want the side quest. Right? The girl's like, can we go dance? Can we go look around? Can we go have fun? Can we laugh? Can we sing? No. I just got to work, breed you, and be a provider. And back in the day when it was necessary and it was good for society, women would go with it. For the first time ever, women don't have to have a husband, and they're mostly choosing not to. And population's crashing, okay? Now here's the next piece. So here's where it gets interesting. I'm gonna show, this is maybe the most important piece in the whole thing, I don't know. So what's basically happening is Professor Scott Galloway is addressing this by saying men are falling behind, and what men need to do is make more money, hit the gym, and be more kind. And he also says that men should learn to be more humorous, which I agree with. Now, basically where they're coming from is they're coming from the frame of, because women now make more money than men, they don't feel attracted to them, and so on and so forth. Now, likewise, podcasts, such as like Men's Coach podcasts, they frame it that the girls are all going for the top percentage of guys, okay? So they're saying the women want the top guys, maybe best looking or money. And then they do interviews on the podcast. Here's the challenge. Those podcasters don't have a time, they do not have the time or bandwidth to impart a deep understanding of attraction to those women they're interviewing. Does the average woman know what frame is, validation is? Does she understand flow of energy? Only at the periphery of her mind. She's not studied this stuff. Most girls who I date say, I want to date cute guys. Then they date me and they go, well, you're so interesting. Or they say, I am good looking, which is so funny to me. They'll say, oh, but you're so cute. I'm like, I'll take it. So they say, I want to date cute guys. They say they want to date rich guys, whatever, right? The argument is that now that women on average make more than men do, which is real, by the way, the argument is that men need to catch up income-wise. So let me say something. Now that women are basically mostly in non-containment, they're not in frame at all, and they're kind of what some people call their masculine, now that they're there, they're basically in the same psychology that you are. If you were to get a woman, if you were going to not have a job, if you're going to give up your job, and you were going to, you'd give up your job and you'd let someone else run your life, what would they have to have for you to even be open-minded to that? As a man, you'd stop working, you'd give up your career. What would they have to give you to get you to do that? How much money would they have to have? What's that? Okay, for example, let's say that I don't want to have a business partner. What would it take for me to give half my company to someone? You know, maybe if it was some mega billionaire with a million reasons, then I would begrudgingly be open-minded perhaps. Actually, wouldn't even. But you see the point? So the average woman these days, in her mind, because she does not understand attraction at a high level, what does she think she needs in order to get married? Well, they do interviews on this, right? Have you seen all the interviews, like The Desirable Truth? They interview women. What would it take for you to marry a man? What's the answer commonly? Literally millions. 10 million, 20 million. These outrageous answers. Often for girls who are, by the way, using Botox, filler, lip filler, eye filler, cheek filler, fake boobs, so they can look like a buxom 21-year-old at age 38. But there's really not that much rubber left in the tire, aka, you know, the telomere is shorter, right? So what's also happening, back in the day, there was a deal between men and women where a man would probably have less social value. Like say a man was 22 and a woman's 22. She had more social value than him at first, but later as they aged, he would stick with her. Like, if you look at, say, Russell Brunson, right? I love Russell Brunson, I'm a fan. And he's got a beautiful family of five children. Such a beautiful traditional family, right? Now look at the photo here, okay? Now I love Russell, and he has the world, by the way. He is someone you should learn from. But I'm just making the point. So he's in a traditional family, okay? Now watch this. He's in a traditional family. So he got married when he's young. So beautiful. See how he got married when he was young? Who had more value in the sexual market at that time, Russell or his wife? They're in traditional, right? Now, 5 kids later, if you look closely, how did Russell, now again, this is no critique. I love Russell Brunson, and he has such a beautiful family. He has the world, guys. He's the model what you want. But his wife's a little older now, 5 kids deep. Could Russell still date a girl in her early 20s if he wanted to?
Yeah.
Whereas, because she's given him 5 children, is she at the same point as when they got married?
No.
What do you see in this picture? Has the market value flipped a bit for the two of them?
Yeah. The time humbled her.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you get it? Okay. But guys, he has it all. He's the man. He has a tradition, right? He has 5 children. He reproduced. That's why Russell's a genius and a consummate winner. It's not a critique. You never critique a man's wife because that's the mother of your fucking children. You have a memory with her. I have a suitcase that is a beat up Samsonite suitcase from 20 years ago that I wouldn't sell for $20,000. You'll never see me get some Rowoa, whatever it is, suitcase. I don't want an expensive suitcase. I want my suitcase with my memories. Russell Brunson wants his wife with his memories, with their shared experiences, with their marriage, their children, their family. And even when she's 80, she'll always be 22 to him. Do you understand? She'll always be that princess to him. Why do I care more about that Samsonite suitcase than anything in the world? Like Kevin, how many times have I tried to get a hold of that blue hat from the night that we were at the Von Dutch party? How often do I talk about the blue? Because I had one of the most fun nights of my life after Coachella, after Stagecoach actually. And literally, me and my buddy, Kevin was there, Marcel was there, we had the most fun night, and they had these Von Dutch hats, and everyone was in line getting them, and I said, okay, we'll just get one at the end, and I forgot to get the hat. I wanted that hat as a souvenir of that night. So Kevin keeps saying, no, I'll buy you the damn Von Dutch hat. No, I don't want the Von Dutch hat from the fucking factory. I want the Von Dutch hat from the night we went out. How many times have I mentioned the Von Dutch hat?
You probably mentioned it like 10 to 20 times.
Kevin, a little more than 10 or 20 times. I probably mentioned that Von Dutch hat to you that we want to get that off your female friends over 500 times. Am I right? 300?
Definitely mentioned it a lot, yeah.
200?
Right now?
Yes. But let me focus, please. So why do I don't want the factory Von Dutch hat. I don't want the new Von Dutch hat. I want the Von Dutch hat from that night so I can have memories. I have a teddy bear that I've had since I'm 5. I don't want a better teddy bear. That's why Russell loves his wife. You get me the best teddy bear in the world, I'll throw in the garbage. I want my teddy bear, my memories. I want that Von Dutch hat. I don't want the factory Von Dutch hat. I don't want it. Give me the hat. I don't care. I want the Von Dutch hat from one of the best nights of my life. I don't want a new suitcase. I don't want a Louis Vuitton suitcase. I want my Samsonite beat up suitcase beat to shit. When my children get this Patek watch, they want the scratches. I never worried about scratching the watch because those scratches will be for my sons. Do you understand? So the deal that we had was your wife might be 80, like you could be 58 and still able to date a 22-year-old. The women will say you can't. You totally can. But you don't want a 22-year-old. You want your wife, your queen, the mother of your kids, the woman that you gave a ring to, the woman that you committed to, the woman that you raised your kids with, you took on vacations. You want her. That's who you want. So the deal was you made what you lost in her sexual market value, she gained in shared experiences and continuity of narrative. Say shared experiences? Shared experiences. Continuity of narrative. That was the patriarchy. So when the woman was older, she had a man who valued her more than the most valuable woman in the world, more than the greatest jewels. The greatest gift was his wife. I remember seeing older guys in Alaska, alpha male dudes that could easily be dating girls in their 20s, actively flirting with their old ass wives. What would it take for the average guy now to want to flirt with like a wrinkly woman, right? But he's flirting, he's older, she's older, and he's flirting with her, making her laugh. My sons, whether they're with their mom, she is the 10 to them, not sexually, but she is the 10 to them. My sons play with her. They go in the ocean together and they splash water on her and they make her laugh. They throw her in the water, not like in a bad way, like in a fun way that makes her laugh, right? So having children, you get to be the 10 forever. Having a husband, you get to be the 10 forever. But now, with those shared memories, that girl who went to Coachella, met the DJ, met the rapper, what are her shared memories with her husband? 20 years of rappers, fuckboys, and then kind of this guy at the end that they didn't even want. Get wiped up for a couple years, no prenup, maybe have one kid, divorce, back on the market, back to DJ. That's where we are. Can't have a big family, etc. There's more Down syndrome, more autism, etc. Now watch this. So that was the old system. But the truth is, some people might say we were having too many kids. Some people might say, you'd have to make your own opinion. I don't know, guys. I'm not an expert. So basically, that was the older system. It was beautiful. The men won in some ways. The women won in some ways. It was, say the word compromise. It was a compromise. Well, now that we've gone to like red pill and we have pink pill, it's basically called pink pill or like womanosphere. The women, all the red pill guys talk about is like, I'm gonna have multiple wives, and I'm gonna do this and that and the third, right? Maybe we'll go to the third world to get a girl. So they're trying to optimize for guys, and the women are trying to optimize for women. The women typically don't care that much about bloodline. The women want to have fun. Okay, so they're each optimizing. So the social contract, which is basically just like basic social expectations, has eroded. Okay, so now understand this next part. As we move forward, if you look at that girl, when this woman spoke about how she had toxic behaviors, insecurities, inner voids, and a lack of self-development, okay? So let's review what she said. It is in many ways very fair, okay? But I want to show you what it results in. Watch how reasonable this is, but then let me break it down. Very reasonable.
DMs. And I was, after that divorce, I went out on the dating scene as a very emotionally unavailable woman. Myself and the lack of love that I had, that I bring up in my videos, are basically things that I used to do or that I knew women would do because we just. But I've now become so particular with who I allow into my life because I'm really happy with who I am and I'm completely fulfilled with the version of me that I am right now, not needing validation, not needing love, not needing attention, because I feel that deeply within myself. So I'm single, not because I have to be, but because I'm choosing to be until the right partner comes into my life. I also don't tolerate a lot of BS.
Now watch this, okay? Here's what's going on. Pay attention close. Pay attention close. Pay attention close. Don't distract, please. Pay attention close. Okay, big fucking piece. Everything she's saying is healthy and reasonable. What women complain about with men is that men want to marry a girl in her early 20s before she's had the time to personally develop because she'll tolerate more bullshit from the man. Is that a fair argument in some ways?
Yeah.
It's a fair argument in some ways, right? Like, if you think about it, you're kind of not really an adult till almost 40. It took me till almost 40 to figure out what my boundaries were, to know who I am, to figure out what I want out of life, to learn how to not affect someone else negatively. It takes a long time. It's a failed relationships, okay? So now notice what she also said. I'm happy in my own life and I don't tolerate BS because I'm so happy on my own, I don't tolerate BS. Sounds good, right? It is good. Here's what you need to understand. Here's what's going on here. And this is, no one's saying this. No one's getting this, okay? So, neediness, deep obsession and love with your partner is now viewed as, repeat this after me, codependence, toxic, needy, and pathetic. That's how deep love is viewed. So, do you guys notice how, like, whenever you get too into a girl, she often leaves you? Yeah. Who here has experienced that? Where you got too in the girl, she left. Put your hand up. Every guy's had it, right? Do you ever notice, like, as soon as you fall too much in love, Casey Zander, a common coach for guys, Casey will tell you, he's even got to the point, he's one of the top coaches. He will even tell you that if you fall in love with a girl, you might even want to pull back and not even see her for a while because it will cause her to leave. And he's not wrong. He's spot on. Casey spotted a lot of this stuff early. So it took me a little longer to catch on to it than Casey because Casey, and him and I have different views on the looks thing. But Casey, I was so coming up in the patriarchy, I didn't understand we were in a matriarchy. He caught it quicker than I did. So I want to give him credit for that. So basically what Casey explained is like, he calls it not a shit test, he calls it an interest test, aka your interest is too high. And what's it mean if your interest is too high? You're low value. So we frame that on Instagram as, oh, you're codependent. Like, to be in a relationship, to be able to love someone else, who do you have to love first? Yourself. So what's the whole theme of the matriarchy? Say the word self-love. Self-love. Now, when you hear about self-love, sounds very healthy, correct? Yeah. Not being needy is healthy, correct? Yeah. Not being codependent is very healthy, correct? Yeah. It's because what is neediness or being obsessed with somebody else? Say the word toxic. Toxic. Okay? 40 years ago, 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, there wasn't this quasi-religion around self-love. What was self-love called 30 years ago in our patriarchy? Narcissism. Say narcissism. Not needing someone was called, repeat this after me, unloving. So 30 years ago, you would have said, of course I can't live without my wife. I would die without my wife. My wife is everything to me. I'm obsessed with my wife. My wife is the most beautiful girl in the world. I've never been with a woman more amazing than my wife. I have eyes only for my wife. I need my wife. I die without my wife. She's the best cook. Now, maybe her food sucks, but to you, it's the best food in the world, right? So we take for granted all this talk about neediness as being low value and toxic, when 30 years ago, it just meant you're emotionally healthy. So there's been a flip in what is perceived as emotionally healthy. And under a matriarchy, you get needy like that, you fall in love deep, you're probably gonna lose the girl. In a lot of cases. Now, the girls, what they'll do is they'll say, no, don't teach them that. I want the guy to be needy. Yeah, you mean your fuckboy who's having sex with 20 women? What they're looking for is like this guy who has all the girls to deviate from his usual behavior just for her. So now what happens is now I've got to teach guys that if you want a family, you have to be good with many women. Like whether you have sex or not, that's up to you. Be careful, there's downsides to it. But you've at least got to have the validation of many women and then get it to where they get you, they pull you away. Do you understand? So if I was to go into my phone right now, the women who I'm talking to, you'll see things like gorgeous, beautiful women saying, hey, like, they don't say you have to fuck me soon, but they're like, you know, in a subtle way, like, hey, you better see me soon or I'm gonna stop talking. I won't even be your friend anymore, okay? So, and what's funny is they're not wrong, because the truth is, I talk to so many women that I will forget they exist actually, a lot. So because I don't text back as quickly, because I don't text back as long, because my Instagram story is loaded with self-love, because my Instagram story is loaded with me having fun on my own, that makes me in demand. But if this was 30 years ago, it would be about consistency, getting the door, getting the bill, showing that you're in love, showing that you would die without her. I'd die without you. Baby, I would die without you. What happens now if you say, I'd die without you? They call the cops or some shit, right? Okay, he's gonna kill himself. Okay, joking. So we've had a flip, okay? So if you ever felt needy, understand, you're not a bad person. You're not low level. You're actually a loving person. But also understand that that feeling of love, the Chesterton's fence of patriarchy and the church allowed you to be in love as long as God was present. You could have a deep, deep, deep union without needing to have a harem. Okay? You didn't need to be Jay Bieber. Your wife could love you the way she loved Jay Bieber. That's gone now. Okay? So, at this point, men are basically perceived as mostly losers, beta males, needy, value takers. Because I know what I know, if I were to tell you the feedback that I get, you wouldn't believe it. Here's the feedback I get most commonly. Don't make it about me. I'm just trying to show you the results of what you understand what to do. Commonly, women will say to me, every other guy is a value leech. Every other guy is creepy. Every other guy makes me sick. I feel physically sick. And they often even confess that they hate men, but they go, for the first time ever, I don't hate a man and I feel safe around you. And they'll sometimes even say things to me like, they'll go, Owen, I don't want to work anymore. And I don't want to deal with bullshit anymore. I don't even want to think anymore. I just want to be happy. And I've never met a guy that I just felt safe. I don't care if you see other people. I don't care if you're fucking anybody else. You make me, I feel so safe. I feel good. I feel like you're not taking from me. I feel like you're adding to me. Please, please, like in tears, this happens. Including, by the way, girls with boyfriends. So why does this happen? Let me show you what's happening. It's energy emitting out instead of taking. That's all that it is. It's because I am surrounded with other women, because I don't care, I don't need the validation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, okay? That's why. So it's not me being a better provider. It's not me being more loving. It's not me doing traditional things. It's the fact that I'm just dating other women, not needing them for the following. Not needing them for frame, say it.
Not needing them for frame.
Not needing them for validation. Not needing them for winner effect. And I have social proof. That's what it is. And so what happens is then they chase. Okay? Like, look, I've been asking my editor to cut this out, but here's the kind of chasing that you get, okay? From years ago, I haven't seen her in forever. Watch this. How much better is looking as that girl than me? How much better?
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, she's basically saying, I just been traveling and shit. She's saying, you need to come, like, stop talking to me on the phone. You need to see me in person. I'm not a pen pal girly. Do you see what's going on there, right? Basically saying, and she goes, are we going to make this happen or not? Are we going to ride off in the sunset or not? Do you see what's happening? That's happening because there's Instagram stories of other women, Instagram stories of me doing other things. And when I talk to her on the phone, I'm like the girl. I'm just letting her pump my state while laughing. I'm like, like a girl. And then she's the one who's going into her head. The buyer-seller dynamic is that she's doing the selling, I'm doing the buying. So she could get guys taller, better looking, richer, better everything. But because I'm the one guy who has frame, has winner effect, has inner validation, has social proof, has a life, has social intelligence, emotional intelligence, knows how to raise the vibe, and I'm great at a side quest. When they see me having fun in the Instagram, what's that say? He's great at a side quest. That's huge for them. They're sick of these guys that just want to, I gotta get married, I gotta fuck, but I'm miserable. I don't even like you, but you're gonna be an incubator. You see that? So I just simply dialed in frame, validation, winner effect, side quests, social proof, the thing they actually like. Lack of neurotic holding patterns is huge. I didn't talk about this video. I've talked about other videos. Like, men have all these neurotic holding patterns. They know how to joke and be free and have fun. The girls drives them nuts. Social intelligence, right? Like some of you guys here getting water, right? Look, I get you're thirsty. I get it's late. This is a video that's one of the most important videos ever made on this topic. It's like, I'm thirsty. I'm not trying to give you guys hard beep, beep, like that, right? I have needs. I get it. Look, I get it. But what I'm trying to point out is like it's the same thing as when I'll be outside and guys are like, can I get a photo? I need to get a photo, right? I'm like, if you do this, then it's going to become picture time. It's going to ruin the whole summer. I don't care. I need it. That's how women feel around men. Look, I always will try to invite different students on side quests with me. Sometimes I'll have a student who's been doing a bunch of trainings with me, and I'll say, hey, listen, I'm going to go on vacation. I'd actually like to invite you. Would you mind if when we're teaching, you can ask every question you want, but if you want to kind of come on vacation with me, would you mind just having fun on the vacation and not bringing up anything work-related? But as soon as we get back to the vacation, we're going to talk about all the work stuff you want. Is that kind of cool? Is that kind of cool?
Yeah.
Guys?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yep.
I'll coach the fuck out of you during the prepaid sessions. I'm going to invite you for free. I'm going to spend way more than you spent on the coaching to just take you around because I like you. But would you mind? Look, this isn't fake. Is it fake?
Fuck no, bro. I mean, you took me to so many places. I've seen the half of the US, all the West Coast, just because, I don't know. Why.
Just because you learned to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay? So, he's a cool guy. Get along. He said, come with me. But there was another guy who I love to death, but he didn't get to come. Because what happened was, as soon as we got out to the Redwood Forest, I'm not kidding when I say this, he opens, Owen, I need help. I need help. How do I do this? How do I do that? I'm like, bro, I'm on vacation. He goes, oh, yeah. Next day, well, what about this? What about that? I'm like, motherfucker, I'm on vacation. I finally had to say to him, my brother, I work all year. I wait for these 2 months. Let me have a fucking vacation, you fucker. Well, then why'd I come here? For the most beautiful vacation of your life? For friendship? But he couldn't handle the side quest. So he had to go home. Now on the training, I'll train the fuck out of him. I'll be the best trainer in the world. But the side quest is the fun quest. Okay? So that's how women feel. Right? The girl's like, hey, could we go do this? Could we go do that? The guy's like, oh, fuck. When are we getting married? When are you being an incubator? It annoys the fuck out of them. It's needy. Because what you guys think is like, well, I am a man and I want to move the ball down the field. I don't have time to go dance. I don't have time to joke. I don't have time for a little side quest. What is that signal to the girl? Starts with an S. Starts with a fucking S. What's that signal to her? Scarcity. It's like you're so much in scarcity you can't have fun. When you guys see me spending half the year in nature, what does that indicate? Abundance. Okay? The word cool, what does the word cool mean? It means that you can be around high social value and just vibe. Do you guys understand that if you get around an ultra rich person and just vibe, you can be their friend? Rich people have a hard time making friends because nobody will vibe with them. How many people do you think can vibe with Elon Musk? No, they go, Elon, I need help with this. Oh, I need help with that. Oh, Elon, oh my God. Huh. That's men surrounding sex. So these men have low EQ, low emotional intelligence, low social intelligence. They're needy as fuck. They got no swagger. They have no energy. They're bad vibes. They're stinky. They're hairy. They want to shoot. They want to use them as an incubator for their legacy. And the women don't care. They just don't. Okay? Also, a big thing with women is they're very energetically aware and vibe aware. Say energetically aware? Energetically aware. Vibe aware. They're hyper energetically aware, hyper vibe aware. So what happens there is the women hit a point where if you're a guy and you know how to bring vibes, that's something they like. Look, you like ass and titties? Yeah. They don't need your hairy cock as much as they like vibes. Okay? You like ass and titties, right?
Yeah.
You like cock? Okay, well, women like a great vibe because women want to feel emotionally regulated. A woman's inner world is a lot of LARPing, right? Astrology, crystals, LARPing and stuff, right? So if you're a great vibe, they love that. Most men are not a great vibe. Also, what women are often very good at is kind of figuring out who they are. And they're almost like sorceresses or oracles, where like they're really attuned to things. Like they're attuned to their own energy and what sustains them and what a good vibe is. They've got fashion, swagger, they've got identity. They put time into that. They put time into aesthetic and vibe and beauty and energy and their natural personality. A lot of guys are just squares. They're just squares. That's why when like some rapper comes and he's got tattoos and he has his little dance and he has these jokes and these sounds and he sings, he's self-state pumping. Women like that because now he's the master of their world. He has authority in their world. I jokingly call it the LARP master. Say LARP master. LARP master. That's the ultimate term. I'm telling you, the LARP master. Be LARP. You don't need to be the provider. Say, don't be the provider. Don't be the provider. Be the LARP master. Be the LARP master. Look, end of the day, all the guys that do the best with girls are just the best LARP masters. Like, Lil Wayne is just some short little dude with a high-pitched voice, but man, that guy knows how to LARP. A million, right? He's got the dreads and the tattoos and the jewelry, and he dances, right? Or a DJ. The DJ knows how to pump state, and he has the hypergamy on his side. He has a social proof. He's a LARP master, right? Some psychic guy. Even you do something like the cube. Oh, here, look that shit up, the cube. Here's your cube reading. Oh, wow. I'm a psychic. I remember a buddy of mine, he's like, he can see entities. And so he gave a reading to me about the entities that he saw. And it's basically just like standard self-help. You should build your confidence, like just all this shit, right? But the girl, because it was a reading, a psychic reading from a guy in a robe, she looked at it and she cried. She said, that was so beautiful. Why? Because it was a psychic reading, right? If he just gave look, if you want to get more money, do X, Y, Z, doesn't care. But if it's a psychic talking to a spirit, he's LARPing, she loves the LARP. She wants you to be the LARP master. Guys are so lost, like, well, but if I LARPed, that's like fake. Under a patriarchy, where it's all about moving the ball down the field in high integrity, that's what it's about. Matriarchy is about following emotion. It's about feeling emotion, and it's about your state is basically like your God, right? If you say to a girl, let's go eat, she goes into how she feels. If she feels good in that moment, she does it. If she doesn't go. That's why when you make an invite, the format is follow this, please. For the love of God, please listen. Make a joke, then suggest, as she's laughing, then say, hey, let's go eat. She goes, eat? How do I feel? I feel happy. Okay, let's go eat. If on a lull, you say, let's go eat, what happens?
Nope.
But it's still the same guy. It's the same guy. And by the way, all these looks of money guys who don't understand social skills at all? They go, there is no social skills, it's just your looks. If you're a good-looking rich guy, but she's not liking you, and he goes, let's go eat, she'll say no in most cases. But if you're a bad looking guy and she's liking the vibe, she says yes. So of course it's not just looks and money. Of course there's social skills that you need to have. They're so dumb, these guys. You also have to get them chasing for validation. Under the patriarchy, it's romantic love. Under the matriarchy, longing, and I don't recommend toxicity at all. I think it's disgusting. But for some women, I don't recommend this. Don't contribute to this. But for some, it's even toxicity. Because that longing and the pushing and pulling, have you ever had it where girls 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and you became obsessed? That's a more common version of love under matriarchy. If you go out a lot and you understand attraction, you understand that when you have frame, when you're internally validated, when you have winner effect, basically you feel completely good in your own body. That generates attraction. You become more grounded, more articulate. Like you guys kind of see like what I'm doing up here, like just kind of doing this. That's kind of what happens like when you go out and it goes good. Does that make sense? So then what happens is you have seeing the world through your own eyes and you have groupthink. So say it after me. Seeing the world through your own eyes and you have groupthink. So what you'll find is any demographic of group that feels like they're viewed as lower in society will struggle with winner effect. So a lot of lower income populations struggle to because look, let's say that a girl's crawling all over you and you feel amazing. How well is your brain working? When girls are validating you, people are who here was doing public speaking today, and when the audience was loving it, you felt yourself switching on more and more. That's kind of the fundamentals of my teaching. I'm trying to show you how your brain works when you're switched on. So I think it's so existential to take these trainings. Because your brain's literally shut off when you don't know this stuff. It's insane. And then you're trying to win within this low paradigm of your brain being shut off. Do you guys see why this is so existential that you learn this stuff? Yeah. Everything you're doing is within the paradigm of your brain being switched off. So it's like you're driving with the fucking parking brake on permanently. That's why you can never win unless you switch it on. So what happens is that groups that feel like they're lower in the totem pole often struggle to lock in and focus because as Robert Sapolsky, not me, but Robert Sapolsky proves in a baboon experiment, the baboons that are higher status have better neurochemistry in the brain, better immune system, etc. He took that study into Britain and found that people from low-income areas got sick more. It's perceived status. How do you feel if you got rejected 10 times in a row by a woman? Do you think that you'd probably get sick more if that feeling that you had when 10 women in a row rejected you, would you get sick more often if you felt like that all the time? Yeah. Would you have a hard time thinking if you felt like that all the time?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay? So what's been happening is this. Back in the day, if you look at the patriarchy, the women kind of had this way of talking where they were kind of like, oh, yes, sir. Oh, that'd be swell. But she's not thinking that much. You see that? So her winner effect is actually stunted. And then the men were more like confident, winner effect, and so on and so forth. The patriarchal structure solidified that. Because the girl can't get a job, voting, car, credit, et cetera, right? House. Couldn't get it. So the men are like, now, Mary, let me lead the way. And the men's winner effect is switch on because what is society telling the men?
They're badasses.
Society's telling the men that they're on top. Okay? Now, you can even see this in older versions of cultures that were oppressed, where they had this way of talking that was similar to how women would talk under patriarchy. Like a kind of submissive way of talking without that groundedness. Do you guys see that? Do you see that? And some of those cultures and groups actually learn to create almost like their own inner codes and their own slang and vibe as a way to almost switch back on. Do you see what was going on there? It's tough stuff. These are. You can probably figure out what I mean. Okay? Can you guys know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Do I need to? You get it? Okay. So bad stuff. So basically, thank God that's not the case anymore. Bad stuff. But anyway, what was happening is women were like, oh yes, oh my God, yes, Martin, oh he, tee, like that, right? Kind of living within a suppressed brain neurochemistry, because the groupthink told them that they were second fiddle to men. Now that it's the future is female, and by the way, it's not the future's female, the present's female. Numbers bear that out, not me. Who on average looks like they have a stronger frame? Men or women? Who on average looks like they are more internally validated, men or women? Who on average has like less neurotic holding patterns and is more flowy and jokey and vibey and in a state of high brain neurochemistry, men or women right now? So what's happening is guys like Scott Galloway, who I like, that's not a critique on him at all. I think he's great. I'd love to meet him. But I think he's great. I'd love to meet him. But I'm just, I've done this for 25,000 hours, so I'm just giving my take. Scott is addressing this by saying men need to make more money or men need to get fit or to be more kind. Like basically to optimize more for what worked under the patriarchal system. We're not under patriarchy anymore, guys. It's dated advice. It's good advice to an extent, but it's kind of dated. So women are saying in the podcast, they're saying, the women in the podcast are saying, well, I'm making more than the man, and because I'm making more than the man, I can't look up to him. You guys see that? Yeah. You're not getting it. That's not the problem. The problem is right now is in any man, repeats after me, any man relying on the crutch of groupthink, thinks he's shit, has a weak frame, seeks validation externally, has fucked up brain chemistry, and is in a loser effect. So men, I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't mean to insult you guys, men are walking around looking dumber than ever these days. You guys, to me, the way I see you, most of you, I won't say what I see. Okay? Y'all look like a bunch of fucking retards. Most of you guys, okay? Most of you guys look like a bunch of fucking retards. You look beaten down. You look like submissive, beaten down chumps is what you look like. And the women are seeing it. Look, not all you guys, but that's what you guys look like. It's not good. It wasn't like this back in the day, okay? It wasn't like this back in the day. Men were men, okay? It wasn't like this back in the day. Y'all are fucked up. And then you're trying to, stand up. Do you see it? Like, he's not badly dressed at all. He's actually dressed nice, right? Face forward. But this is like a patriarchy uniform, like a nice black watch, some black boots, right? He looks great, but have a seat. He's not built. That's optimized for like a good version of a guy who's got his shit together and providing. You look nice. You look very nice. But it's not Lil Wayne, right? It's not Bieber. I'm joking, but I'm kind of not joking. What I'm saying is the guys are like, these guys that are making like 80K a year are like, I'm gonna get my money up. Well, if the average guy makes, by the way, the average guy doesn't even make 80K a year, to be fair. But let's say he even did, and is gonna get his money up. What does get your money up mean for a guy making 80K a year? 90K? 120K? Do you think the girl cares? Okay, like, stand up. Even if he goes to the gym a long time, with his genetics, is he gonna be that jacked? Is that gonna move the needle enough that if he has a weak frame, weak validation, no winner effect, is that gonna move the needle if he gets more jacked? No. It might a bit. Have a seat. Okay. It might a bit, but it's not gonna solve the problem of the shit. Do you remember I talked earlier about the shit test? So, the honest signals. So now, let me show you the most subtle shit test, and this is what has to be understood. Nobody gets this. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll get it in a millisecond when you see it. So stand up. Okay. So you're talking to the woman, all right, and you'll start talking, and you'll actively feel who is reacting to who more, even without a shit test. Say even without a shit test. Even without a shit test. There's always one person reacting more to the other person, then that person is reacting to them. So in other words, you'll see the guy talking to the girl. Look, when you yourself talk to a woman, learn to get awareness of if you're in her frame or yours. Learn to get awareness of who's the buyer, who's the seller. Learn to get awareness of who's leading and following. Learn to get awareness of who's, like, if you're just there talking and you're completely in your frame and you don't need validation from her, you do these, like attraction, for example, is triggered. You go, you do that. Mystery taught me that. So you literally go, you go like this, you go, no. That, give me a sec. What does that do when you just go no? It goes, my validation is internal. When you hold eye contact, can you tell that I'm self-sourcing validation right now?
Yeah.
Can you tell that you're more in my frame than I'm in your frame right now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Can you guys see in my eyes I'm more in my own frame? Okay, look at my eyes, okay? It's subtle.
You're assessing.
Watch this. Who's a bit more nervous and trying to react to me? Well, now I'm giving the answer. But who's reacting more to the other person?
I'm reacting.
And it's very subtle though, right?
Yeah.
But that slight subtlety means no attraction happens. Have a seat? Okay. Now to be fair, this is my environment. What's that?
You're the buyer, so it looks like you're looking like, do I want this?
Correct. You nailed it, right? So again, I'll pull you up here. Okay. Stay right here. So can move as fast as possible. Okay. So now look, watch, even when I shake the hand and I go, what I'm doing is I'm going, we're on my rhythm. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Okay, I go. What am I doing? So do you remember how I told you have a seat? Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you see how I'm keeping that as subtle as possible? Do you guys remember when I said I can approach without talking at all?
Yes.
I just do that. That's all I do. That's it. Frame intact, validation internal, winner effect high, grounded. Energy flowing out, not leeching from you for validation, frame, winner effect, access, not access to winner effect. You know, women say like, the support of a woman will raise the man up to get rich. What they're basically saying is that back in the day, the woman would have given winner effect to her beta male. Do you guys follow that? Yeah. She would have given winner effect to her beta male. What's happening right now, if you look at the women on Instagram, they are way better speaker than the guys. They've got way more rhythm than the guys. They're way more confident than guys. Most women on Instagram have stronger frame than the men. But here's how they did it. They didn't do it individually, they did it collectively. Women are physically weaker than men in most cases. But if they have more, say the word collective strength. So what they did was if it's so important, brother, what is it? Are you like in the jerk mode?
It's all what you just did. So you're setting the rhythm in there, right? You're being the cause, not the effect.
Pause, thank you. Pause,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm okay, thank you. So watch this, okay? So basically what you have is this. So what he's doing here, that's low winner effect. Because even though what you're saying is interesting, you're like, okay, this whole society, stop. Okay, so you're like, so this whole societal breakdown thing is interesting. Now, I'm paying my money. How much money have you paid me? To be here?
Like I will pay.
Okay, so watch this, okay? So I'm spending a ton of money. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'm trying to show you awareness, okay? Why do I come doing a free event? What am I here to get? A video. How hard is it to have this much retention and to give a linear essay from the dome? How hard is this?
Very.
How many people in the world could do what I'm doing now? Off the dome?
I don't think nobody.
Maybe zero, but not many. So now in your mind, that's the context of what's happening. But your mind's like, wait, I want to learn some technicalities of the game thing so I can get some pussy. That's why women don't like men right now. But pause. But now you feel the need to defend yourself. You could just let me win even. Do you see? So now watch this. So what you have to do to be good with girls is know the vibe and say the word, always enhance the vibe. Never defend yourself. Always enhance the vibe. Do you guys remember how to pass a congruence test? How do you pass it? Agree and amplify. Misinterpret. Ignore. Agree and amplify. Misinterpret. Ignore. But always raise the vibe. Say that. Okay, so you raise the vibe by doing what's collectively fun for everybody, not just what you want, because what you want implies scarcity. So say that you're like, I need the technical understanding of X, Y, Z. That implies you don't have bitches. The joking say, I don't believe the word bitch. That implies that you don't get girls, because you're like, wait, but I need to know blah, 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 blah. But I need you to believe blah, 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 blah. But I need to self-qualify to you. It implies scarcity, immediate turn off, immediate fail over shit test. You always have to be in abundance, which means even in the venue, you're just talking with everybody. No one interaction is that meaningful. She goes to the bathroom. Who cares talking to somebody else? Always abundance, okay? And always in flow, and always enjoying your night. And as your night progresses, winner effect increasing, frame increasing, validation internally increasing, vibe increasing, better and better, upward spiral, more and more people liking you, not attached to anyone, and they become competitive. Oh, I'm not gonna be your friend anymore unless you take me home, like you saw in the video, right? Okay, got it? So, okay, I didn't show the video, I covered the face, but just to hear the audio, you get it. So the point that I'm getting at is this, okay? Now, what's happening is men can't keep up, but they're trying to keep up under patriarchy value code optimization. Not realizing that going from 90K to 110 is not gonna get you over the hump. Getting 14-inch biceps to 14.5-inch biceps is not gonna get you over the hump. Doing your creatine from GNC is not gonna get you over the hump. These are all good things to do. You should do all of them for you, but they're not gonna get you over the hump with a beautiful woman. So in other words, you have to learn swagger, winner effect, flow, how to chat, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, and how to read the room and read a vibe and not embarrass the fuck out of her and be in scarcity. Women are over it. They're not gonna deal with it anymore. They're done. Women are done. They're done. They're done. They're done. Understand that. They're not doing it anymore. They're over it. Okay? So guys are on the wrong script. Now, here's an answer that guys give. They say, well, even if every man stepped up, it wouldn't matter because women always go for the top 10% of guys. You guys see that? Here's the fallacy there. And again, this is why this is existential that you guys understand this. Because it's misinterpreted and I'm the only one who gets it. And I hate that I'm the only one who gets it. I'm trying to make more people get it. All right. Here's what's happening. I was with my buddy Zach. There was a beautiful girl there. It was my mansion. I probably have more frame than Zach. There was a girl there. She chose to date Zach. You want to know why? She was open to anybody as long as the guy isn't creepy. Guys will keep saying it has to be the 10%, the top 10% of guys, and due to hypergamy, they'll keep going for better and better. Women keep saying, you red pill motherfuckers keep saying this shit that we go for the top guys. It's not true. Y'all are just fucking creepy. Stop trying to be this top guy, because here's how the women see it. If you try to solve the lack of attraction by becoming the top guy, you're still the guy who won't side quest with them. You dig? You're still the guy without social intelligence. You're the buddy who I take on the trip and goes, I need to know the info. I need to know the info. I felt how a woman felt at that moment. I was like, I love you, bro, but this is sickening. This is such deep, rotting scarcity and so not fun. This is my vacation. I don't get paid to do this shit. Come on the training that I booked you on, and I'll sit there with you for hours the way I'm doing here fixing you. But I'm not doing this with you on my fucking vacation. But he couldn't come because you shut the fuck up. You got a fucking $500,000 vacation, but he couldn't shut the fuck up, so I can't bring him on vacation. But even a lot of you guys right now are probably like, I don't want to do vacation either. I need to build my business. I don't have time for fucking vacation. If you're gonna bring me, you're not gonna coach me, I didn't want to go on vacation. That's how a lot of guys think. Because you're scarcity. I'm already rich. Why do I need to sit there stressing on something? Like there's a time and a place for everything, right? So the women are like, look, there's a time for sex. There's a time to get married. When is time? But in the meantime, like, could we do something fun? Like, is our whole life to just fulfill your rotting scarcity and your bad vibe? That's how they feel. They're over it. And that's what men were for a long time, and they're over it. This is not woman pandering. Look, do you guys ever feel like you'd like it if women would self-correct a bit?
Sure.
Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever feel like, damn, I wish they would get together and self-correct? When you see a woman who fleeces her man in divorce, what does that teach you?
Don't get married.
Never get married. But a lot of you guys want to get married, right? Do you wish that women would get together and self-correct? Does that mean they're a man panderer because they say, don't ruin a man's life? They're pandering to man because they say don't ruin his life. Is me saying don't have deep rotting scarcity and being unable to have fun and being emotionally retarded, socially retarded, is that woman pandering? Or is that just a much needed correction for guys? So, you can dish it out, you gotta take it too. We're all flawed. Me, us, all of us, women and men, everybody is flawed. Women are more confident than men because they're in the group think. They have collective group think in their favor. The top 10% of men are typically less creepy. The woman's attraction, the top 10% of men, is not necessarily just looks or hypergamy. It's that The top 10% of men, by the group think, okay, by what the group think tells them, are allowed to switch on their winner effect. Like if say that you woke up today, okay, say that you woke up today and you were 6'4", chiseled like hell, 38-inch dick, fat ass, 100K watch, whatever, right? Famous. Would you feel a little more confident?
Probably.
Would you feel a little less needy?
Yeah.
Okay, so the top 10% of guys just feel less needy. How do I know that women are actually not just going for the top 10% of guys? That it's wrong. How do I know? How do I know? Because I am a bit of a troglodyte and I've had a good dating life. But also because I have 25,000 hours of data, 25 to 50,000 hours of data. I bring a guy in program, some short little troglodyte guy. I teach him, I build his winner effect, I build his frame, I build his validation, I make him have a little bit of fun side quests with her, I show him how to build a vibe, and the guy outcompetes the mega Chad, giga Chad millionaire. So clearly if that's true, then this argument where they say, well, if every guy stepped up, women would just go for the better and better guys, is not even true. I've gone in a wheelchair up to rich, good-looking guys and left with their girl by accident. So if that's true, here's what guys don't understand. The entire male loneliness epidemic and population crash would easily be solved simply by teaching guys a bit of social skills. Teaching them frame, teaching them emotional regulation, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, teach them abundance, teach them vibes, teach them how to have a bit of fun. You ever notice that you don't care about any of that shit and you just want to make money and get ahead? And then you go to the club and joke with women for a few hours and you have the best night of your week? What is a great gift that women give men? They get to have fun. The best movie that represents the male-female dynamic is called The Fountain with Hugh Jackman. The girl wants to celebrate, go in the snow, play around because she knows she's going to die and she knows she's an eternal, here's the key, she knows she's an eternal soul. She's not in resistance to the fact that she's an eternal soul. Hugh Jackman is in resistance and must save her life. He eventually goes to the center of all creation, and what does he become? Spoiler alert, so close your eyes if you don't want to get a spoiler. Turn the video off if you don't want a spoiler. He becomes a tree. He realizes that we're all connected. Women are often more spiritually connected to the fact that we're all connected and our eternal nature, and so are not as needing to get ahead and celebrate life more. You see that? So, you remember how I said that women, when they like you, will basically form a hybrid personality of who they are, but something to accommodate you? That happens when frame occurs. What happens when a girl sees that you're a beta male? How much do they hate you and get creeped out? They have an RS flip. Women have had a collective RS flip against most men. They're mad. They're mad. They're pissed because they don't know this necessarily. Some do. But many of them, the way they feel is, y'all oppressed us for fucking years. Y'all oppressed us for years. We finally got our balls back and we actually elevated. And now all you little fuckers are just, you can't hold frame anymore. You're super externally validation seeking. You can't have a little bit of fun with us, and your brain shut down. So by us raising up, rather than celebrating our win, rather than celebrating us that we're raising, you compare yourself to us and compete with us, and you just shut down and get even more needy and scarcity based, like the guy who needed the advice on the vacation. Why can't you celebrate our win? Why can't you have a frame and celebrate our win? So then a lot of men's influencers come along and they say, you need I like these guys in certain components, but you need a Bugatti or you need to get plastic surgery. Imagine you're a woman who just wants a guy to come, like you don't even care that much about looks, and you just want a fun guy to come, and then the main influencers say you either need a Bugatti or plastic surgery, like looks maxing. And you're like, just don't be socially retarded and bring a vibe and we'll fuck. It's like fourth wave feminism, whatever it is. The girls are all having sex. They're having sex with all sorts of guys. I take out a group of 10 guys. Some are good looking, some are not. They're all killing it. Everybody's having fun. Doesn't matter what they look like or how rich they are. So the thing where it's like, well, if every guy elevated, then women would just get higher and higher standards is not accurate. What is actually happening is that because men are reliant on groupthink for their frame, that unless they think they hit society's ideals, they can't hold frame. So to get it? Competitive versus collaborative. So what has to happen for guys is guys have to unplug from groupthink in general. But what is the element of passing a shit test? Unplugging from groupthink. Okay? Hip hop dance, you could have a person who's not that attractive, but they learn to carry themselves like they're attractive. Right? Like they do like these certain dance moves, right? Like, all these dance moves, right? Like that, right? That dance move is about a celebration of your own existence, and then you feel good about yourself. Guys need to find that swagger again. Guys need to get their swagger back. Okay, what was the other one that I said? It was the 2 main points.
Well, men are trying to use looks and other status to kind of get out of it.
Yeah, so actually that was what it was.
Yeah.
So basically, that was my main 2 points. So what's happening is, here's the bottom line. You now have a third of the population of men not even reproducing. That's only going to grow. What happens for example, in a capitalist system where a bunch of people are fucking broke? What do they eventually do? And I don't want this. I'm trying to stop this bad stuff. What do? Riots, communism. If they feel they can't win the game, the game's rigged, they flip the fucking table, right? What happens look, don't say it out loud. Don't answer this out loud. But go in your mind and imagine what's going to happen if 50% of men can't have a kid, or kind of like what happens in nature. Where does society go? Beta male uprising. And what happens is all that progress that I do believe in, I like that progress. I don't like that women couldn't vote or shit like that. I think it's bullshit. Do you guys know in some societies in the world, women are covered in like a burqa, stuff like that? Can't even show their face or anything. Where is this going if it doesn't get solved? Don't answer. Go in your mind, ask yourself where this is going right now. Don't answer. Where's this going? Don't answer. Okay? So this has to get solved. This is existential. It has to get solved. But as long as our mental models of attraction and how it all works are flawed, we can't solve it. Otherwise, it tries to get solved as a Bugatti, plastic surgery. You're solving it within a patriarchy model. When all the women are asking is you're just not a dumb fuck. It's true, by the way. All they're asking is you're just not a dumb fuck. That's literally it. We are moving also into a society with, if AI doesn't kill us, which it could, robotics, population going down, it's evolving. It's looking for quality sperm over quantity. Here's the thing. Here's what y'all never understood. Looks and money and muscles are meant to be indicators of genetic fitness. But the greatest indicator of genetic fitness is actually strength of frame. This is why ailments like narcissism, psychopathy, sociopathy pervade, because it actually gives frame to like weird people, right? Like someone who has NPD or psycho, they often get really, really strong frames because they actually distort reality in their mind. It's super unhealthy. It actually fucks them up. It's really bad. But a lot of people who haven't, like, I've seen like real guys that are probably like psychopathy, sociopaths, and I've seen some of those guys, I don't approve of this, I think it's terrible, go home with 5 models a day every day from cold approach. Here's how it happens. Stand up for me, I'll show you how it happens. The psycho, who's a wacko, but at least they're not so psycho that it's a problem, they're kind of like this. You ever seen how a psycho looks? Like a Charles Manson? Why does that gene continue? Because the chump is like the chump's like this, watch. The chump's like, right? The psycho, again, I don't like this. I'm just saying to be aware of what's happening. What's your name? You see how so what happens? So have a seat, thank you.
Yeah.
So do you see what happens there? See how he reacts like in frame? The psycho, because his brain's whacked out, what the brain does is it short circuits itself to hold frame. It's fucked up. That's what people with NPD have. Their brain lives in a cocoon, reframing everything with what's called, say the word grandiosity.
Grandiosity.
Okay, so that's why that gene proliferates. What you don't want to do is have grandiosity in a way that harms you. But that The reason why right now the NPD gene and the psychopath gene is getting bigger is because the men are chumps. And so a psychopath or a narcissist is a facsimile, a fake of a really confident man. So what happens is when social conditioning makes guys feel so shit about themselves that they all feel like shit, the closest thing to a confident guy is someone who's mentally ill. And then that's why that proliferates. That's why, have you ever noticed that most girls you know, like I've dated 13 narcissists. Well, if less than 4% of the population has NPD, how's that possible? Because they're all dating the same narcissist. Or they're just coping that they're calling their popular boyfriend a narcissist. Bit of both. So what's happening is that that's proliferating. So we need men to find their balls again, but the primary thing that we need in men is to get out of group thinking, out of social conditioning. Why is that important? What did we learn during COVID? Those of us who were under the social conditioning lived in fear, endured forced medical procedures, and so on and so forth. So people were in frame. They were stuck in the frame. We must get out of group think. Do you guys remember when I said that when guys learn to be successful with women, they often, in many cases, become rich? The reason why they often become rich, among many, if you have a strong frame, does it help you get rich?
Yes.
If you are internally validated and so able to act from a point zero rather than a chase and a suck, does it help you get rich?
Yeah. Yes.
Makes you better sales too, right? 'Cause you don't need anything. Does abundance help you get rich?
Yeah. Yep.
Does having a high winner effect so your brain chemistry is working help you to get rich?
Yes.
Got it? You guys, you dig? Catching this? You digging what I'm putting down? You catching it? Okay, so what happens is that you have it to where when you learn these skills, it actually helps you get rich. So you know the stereotype, like the guy that parties, chases girls, actually doesn't get rich? Well, if done to chase validation, you're right, he doesn't get rich, and he does drugs, bad. But if done to get more into a flow, to awaken the mind, to build frame, to build social skills, emotional intelligence, social intelligence, to build better buyer-seller dynamic, learning success with women does help you to get rich. So it depends the way you're doing it. What is unhealthy, toxic? The other is growth, extreme growth. So ultimately, as we move forward, here's what you're not realizing. This is a big piece no one gets. If you needed to win 7 Super Bowls like Tom Brady to hold frame, that's actually less attractive than being able to hold frame without the 7 Super Bowls. Okay, guys? Okay? If you need to be rich, to be internally validated, to hold frame, and to have winner effect, if you need that to be rich, you think that that makes you stronger. Do you guys follow that? I'm strong because I got rich. I'm strong because I went to the gym. I'm strong because I had discipline. But if you needed to meet a specific benchmark to have frame, what does that mean about the strength of your frame? Okay, guys, get ready for your mind to, your mind's about to melt out of your fucking ears, okay? Get ready for your brain to just go liquefy out of your ears, okay? The primary thing that women do leading to attraction is it's frame-based, right? They generate a modified self adapted to make you happy when they enter your frame. They RAS flip and don't like you when they exit frame, right? So it's frame. So what happens is that if the primary strength is not shoulder width, it's not facial symmetry, it's strength of frame. Strength of frame, the entire interaction, remember I showed like stand up? Yeah. The entire interaction, the strength, she's not looking at your shoulders. She's not looking at your bank account. What's she looking at?
Your reaction.
She's looking at, do you see that? Look at the face. She's looking at frame. That's what's the whole thing. Go out, try it. Thank you.
Yeah. Money doesn't create the frame, but the frame will create the money.
Correct.
Yeah.
So watch this. But some people rely on money to get frame. They need external social standards. So if the primary mechanism of attraction is they frame test you, then if you needed to be good looking to have frame, what does that say about your frame?
Sucks.
So say a girl meets a big jack guy versus a guy who has more like a swimmer's body that he just built for his enjoyment, and they have equal frame. The guy with the swimmer's body, in many cases, unless the girl has a fetish for giant guys, or some do, the guy with the swimmer's body actually looks like he has a stronger frame because he just, he's got a body that he enjoys. A guy who has actually a middle class job that he loves and didn't need to go become a billionaire to have frame is more attractive. That's why women are not fetishizing Bill Gates or Steve Ballmer or Mark Cuban. They prefer a DJ because the DJ makes some money, but doing what he loves. The surfy boy, like a Jay Alvarez type guy, makes some money doing what he loves, right? That's why Jay Alvarez is so attractive. Jay Alvarez is attractive. He has a good-looking face, but it's mostly that he's doing what he loves. Do you guys see that? Mm-hmm. So, guys, the men's coaching movement tries to solve it as, like, they do these panel shows, and they're like, yeah, but you need that good-looking guy, you need that jack guy, you need that tall guy, you need that money-making guy. And then the girls are like, stop telling them this shit. Like, would you guys like it if there's women's panels that are like men like bitches? How do you feel? Like there's like this whole show like, be more of a bitch, men like bitches. How do you feel?
There's actually a book called Why Men.
I know, Why Men Love Bitches. How do you feel when you see that? Do you get mad or are you like, yay? How do you feel? You're like, stop telling them that shit. That's why women don't like a lot of the men's coaching. They're like, stop telling them this shit. Stop telling these guys that like, they've got to do this and that and the third. So if you just could get within yourself and truly uncover yourself and unleash yourself and be yourself, that would actually be what you need to do. And let me ask you a question. Is what we're talking about actually more healthy than the way that men did live under the patriarchy?
Yes.
In some ways, yes. Because robotics coming, AI is coming, et cetera. So understand this. A lot of women feel that men are victims of the patriarchy. They're looking at you like this weird, derpy retard who's like in scarcity, can't feel a vibe, can't have fun, can't side quest, can't like read social cues, no emotional cues, and just like, I need to get it, I need to get it. So they feel that men are actually more traumatized by the patriarchy than they are. That's how they feel. Does that make sense? That's what they're all saying. Now, now, the way that they'll frame it is, if you want to get out of being traumatized by the patriarchy, become what's called a snag. They used to call it a snag. Repeat this after me, snag. Snag. Sensitive new age guy. Or woman panderer. Like you escape the patriarchy becoming a sensitive woman panderer. No. That's not the escape the patriarchy that I'm talking about, guys. What I'm talking about is the fact that I myself, as a somewhat famous guy, and I myself, as somewhat a source of value to a lot of men, feel what women feel. I feel the annoying things that men do, because while I'm not a girl with a vagina, I'm a little bit famous guy. So I see how guys act around me, and like I don't need you to be like better looking or rich or famous. I just want you to be normal. Like just shut the fuck up sometimes and be fucking normal, right? So just enjoy the goddamn moment. Like a lot of my friends, like you guys would think like, oh, Owen's only friends with the most high status people. I'm like, that's not true. I'm just friends with guys that are chill. And women want to date guys that are chill. So that's what the guys aren't understanding. Try going into a venue and just enjoying yourself and feeling good. You'll make out with 10, 20 girls. They'll jump all over you, make out with you, if you just felt normal. You'd be in complete abundance. You'd be beating them off with a stick. And I've known this, and I have the most data of anyone in the world. So I'm even hearing this, getting annoyed by it. Now, here's what's funny. I like the men's coaches because I actually think getting in shape or making money is good for who? You. So I actually like those same coaches, but I tell them, keep teaching training, keep teaching money, keep teaching it, but just separate attraction. And when you teach attraction, teach it within the frame of emotional intelligence, the kind of stuff we're talking about here, okay, and how it all works. And if we don't fix this soon, you're gonna have a beta male friggin' uprising. It's gonna be bad. So it's not about kicking women back down so that we can all just go back to being scarcity driven, heavy energy fucking weirdos. It's about getting the feedback and letting it be an actual reckoning among men, not to become a sensitive new age guy or woman panderer, okay, not that, but to be, frankly, someone who would make these changes and to become more masculine than you've ever been. Because what is actually masculine? Being in deep, rotting scarcity, unhappy, and emotionally retarded, or being a man with a strong frame, not in groupthink, internally validated, brains on, winning at fucking life, and being comfortable with yourself while you do it. That's masculine. So the definition of masculinity doesn't have to become that you're like a Kamala Harris voter or a Swiftie or Crystal Rubber. Okay? It doesn't mean that. Got it? But masculinity also doesn't have to be just hide away for 10 years and then introduce yourself to the world, right? While still being socially retarded and then wondering why Owen came along and left your girl. Wait, this fat little ginger guy just left my girl. Do you know how often that happens? I don't do it on purpose. It's nonstop. So I'm trying to show you guys the path forward for men is the content that I took decades to learn has to be mainstreamed. It has to be mainstreamed. Not as PUA, not as like, not even about attraction. It has to be mainstreamed as social intelligence and as personal growth. We need a human awakening project. The human awakening project that we need, some of it we covered yesterday, the more spiritual components. We need a human awakening project around authenticity, around community, around money, around self-reliance, but we need a human awakening project around social awareness as well. It's part of that human awakening project, okay? And this has to happen or we're fucked, okay? So I've literally sat here at the end of a very long event, and I'm gonna do some exercise with you after that are super potent, but I've at the end of it's a very long night and a very long weekend, and I've given the last little bit of neurotransmitters that I have to try to take a bunch of different topics that I understand and to weave them together into an impromptu essay. So it's not easy to do, okay? But, you know, because sometimes I like to just kind of go where it goes, but other times I try to be more precise, and I try to keep this like PowerPoint level precise without even a PowerPoint, okay? So I live this. The reason I can just riff on it and yap on it is because I live it and I get it. Please don't underestimate how amazing I am when I go out, because I need you to understand that whoever you're looking up to as like this ultimate man, I can do better, and I can get you to do better within a couple days. Okay? So I have the map, but I'm giving it to you. I'm not gatekeeping it. I'm giving you the damn map. I'm giving the map because if I got killed, I want someone to have it. So, you know, this took me a long time to figure out. I had to be a lot out of groupthink. I had to do the experiments and not go in with an agenda, but to be empirical, not having a bias. And again, what I can tell you is after 25,000 hours of social experience, when I take guys out, if I take out a cross-section of you, I don't see a big difference based on looks or money. But I see a dramatic difference that is shocking based on the qualities I'm teaching you here. And in addition, what I've also seen is that the guys who cultivate those qualities often get very rich. If your brain's working like what you're seeing me doing up here, can you get rich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So you're gonna get rich anyway, okay? Having your brain working proper means you're having fun, you're enjoying life, you have girls crawling all over you and throwing themselves at you, chasing you. You actually get to be happy. You feel at peace now. Your awareness expands. You feel better in your own body, more money than ever, and life's good. It's the best path, guys, okay? I've had 25 years to try, okay, that I've just gone out. The colleges didn't do it. Stanford said no. Princeton said no. Harvard said no, because they are on the agenda of the matriarchy, right? So they won't touch it. Now, here's what's gonna happen ultimately if guys don't get their shit together. You ever see that guy? We're recording this at the time of the World Cup. Who is the most hot stud in the World Cup? What's his name?
Holland.
Okay, how many girls do you see posting about Holland? Many women are in this weird headspace where they're not even dating the guys they could get. Like when a girl posts about how bad she wants to hook up with Holland, does that turn you on? But how many girls do you see posting about this guy? It's crazy. They're literally turning off all the guys that they could have kids with in some weird hope and a prayer that Holland's gonna come be their baby daddy. What happens in the future? Let me ask you a question. Most women, do they enjoy more being around being around in a box with a beta male, or being around the other women that are fun and get all this social intelligence stuff? What pumps say more?
Women.
With enough collective power, have a lot of crazy things happen historically.
Yes.
Wars. As the men become more and more beta, what happens when women wake up and realize, these guys fucking suck? But you know what wouldn't suck? If Holland made a sperm bank. Do we want to have kids with him, Him, or Holland? Tell the truth. Don't even answer this, actually. If you're a woman, would you rather be with one beta guy or be with all your female friends and have Holland's baby? And here's the next question. Do you guys know, here's the next statement. Do you remember how I said that if you go to Turning Point USA, you'll hear conservative talking points about things that are kind of, the word for that's called an incubator, say incubator. They're incubating ideas, right? So if you go to college, for example, which is a leftist, it's like the opposite of Turning Point USA is colleges, right? Because they're leftists, most of them. You go to college, the memes, the mimetic software, the incubation of some of the like really far leftist ideas start on college. So if you were to go to college in 2014, you could see what was mainstream within a decade. Do you guys understand that? Yeah. Did you guys actually get that? Yeah. Okay, so if you go to Turning Point USA, the talking points, you can actually hear them doing it where they go, like they'll give a kind of more common sense talk, and they'll go, by the way, I don't want to have to say this, but things might get to a point that this would happen. And they're kind of just testing the waters a little bit. 3 years later, laws change, it's been incubated, okay? If you go right now into TikTok, Womanosphere, Pink Pill, and you see what's being incubated in there, the big one is the following. We don't want to have kids with the betas anymore. Having kids, here was one reel I saw. She said, if you told LeBron James, hey LeBron, don't get paid all this money to play basketball. You should do it because it's the right thing to do. Would that be fair to LeBron? So LeBron is a superstar at basketball. Should he get paid? Yep. Well, what's more important to society, basketball or kids? Kids. So if kids are more important and women don't want to do it anymore, many of them, not all, but many, then from her point of view, she said, women should get paid to have a kid. Now you hear this now and you go, no, that would never happen. But what happens when the population's crashing? We have robots and AI, but what happens when the population's crashing? You're gonna need kids. So collectively, women probably within your lifetime, there's a good chance, if that incubated idea were to be mainstream, might get paid $100K a year to have a kid, $200K to have a kid, $500K to have a kid. When that happens, are they gonna wanna have that kid with the beta?
No. They won't even want the man.
They may not even want the man. Okay. So where this could go, and I'd ask you, gun to the head, where do you think this is going? Tell me if you think this is where it's going. In the same way, Tinder came out and all that, Hinge, and 10% of men are having sex with 59% of women. What's the main reason the population is crashing? You wanna know what it is? That 10% of men gets abortions. That 10% of men doesn't want to raise a kid, so they get an abortion. What's gonna probably happen when this generation of women gets old and they don't have families? Many of them will be miserable, not all by any means, but many. What will younger women learn that they should do? Have kids. Now here's what men keep saying is gonna happen. They're like, oh, this generation of women will, like the joke is, you should buy stocks now in knitting, cats, and wine. You ever heard that joke? They say buy stocks in knitting, cats, and wine, because they say the women will be miserable because they don't have a husband, they don't have a kid. And that's probably partially true. But then, and some women will prefer it, but it'll be partially true. But then what's gonna happen is that younger generation of women are finally gonna come back around and date the beta male. The beta male's back, baby. The beta male's back. But in practice, what happens if, because of population crash, let's say women get $500K a year to have a kid. Now they can afford to be with other women who don't annoy them with rotting scarcity and emotional retardation and value leeching. And then what happens is they go, well, who do I want to have a kid with? Now maybe they have a kid with their fuckboy. So now it goes from 10% to 59% to 10% to like 99%. But what do we learn about life? There's say the word trajectory, a momentum, a direction. What's the direction going in if now it goes to $500K a year to have a baby, whatever? What's the next logical conclusion to that? I'm not saying it would happen. It may not. But what's the logical next step? When a girl's posting halon in her Instagram, knowing that she's turning off all the betas and doesn't give a shit because she just wants to flex with her other friends like we all want to fuck Halan. You go to Halan, put a gun in his head, just joking, but you say, get to wanking, bud. Maybe you even take that sperm, you reproduce it. Now everybody gets to have a baby Halan. Now to be fair, maybe what happens is maybe that's somehow better for society, not just Halan, but smart, rich people and but it becomes eugenics, right? So
lack of genetic diversity, though.
Yeah, it could be. So maybe the women figure it out. They're not dumb. So they get just enough. Maybe it's a little bit of Halan, a little bit of Drake, a little bit of fucking, a little bit of a genius guy, firefighter, I don't know, whatever, right? But the point is, and look, as a man, men desire to spread their seed. A man's version of game is spread a seed. What's a woman's version of game? Get the right seed. Yep. So if all the men become submissive derpers and pathetic and lose frame, and they're just beaten down to the point that they're that dumb, and then what happens is that the fuckboy, they can now, you guys need to understand this, okay? I am often the fuckboy. If I'm dating actively, how many women do you think I'm dating at a time? If I'm actively dating and choosing to date?
15.
What do you think would be average?
5,
20,
6,
30,
20.
A very common thing it's high. The very common response that I get when I talk to girls, I say, babe, go get a man. Go get a man, have a kid. Here's what the most common feedback I get is they go, Owen, I'll have your kid, but I'm not having a kid with one of these fucking guys. They're disgusted by a lot of these guys. Well, I get it because I'm in a position where a lot of guys chase me down for stuff. So I understand. So I relate to their psychology a bit. So what happened, because what's going to happen, more like if that were to go to the full logical conclusion, you have artificial insemination with the guy they want. They might even make it legal that guys have to donate the sperm. Did men do horrible shit to women in the past? Yes, they could legalize it with collective power. Once there's collective power there, maybe that's what happens. Do you guys see where this could go?
Yeah.
Now, oh, that's crazy. We're already at 10% to 58. What do you mean it's crazy? Where's this more likely going? With the current trajectory, where's it more likely going? Beta males reproducing again under the patriarchy, where the girl goes, oh yes, Tommy, he. Where's it going? Now, as we go more into AI and robotics, you don't even need the labor anymore. You see where this is going? So do you remember I taught you guys that if you learn personal brand, the future is going to be authenticity and community? You think that might help you with women?
Yeah.
Being authentic and having community? I think a lot of girls, with the guys that I teach, would choose to be with that guy over the Halan insemination. I wouldn't be worried. Between an insemination from Halan and everything I offer as a human, I don't care. I'm not worried at all. Even in bald, fat, Santa Claus looking motherfucker. I don't worry about it in the slightest. Now, guys will say to me, well, yeah, you studied this for 25 years. Yeah, but guys, most of what I learned over 25 years was that this is easier than I would ever imagine and to get over limiting beliefs. Do you guys follow that? I was like, oh, sometimes it takes a quarter century to realize it's like the breaking the 4-minute mile. We've all been limited, and if you just be yourself, it would work amazing. You follow what I'm saying? So it's not actually, even though I've done a long time, I'm not really doing a lot of heavy technique. I'm just socially aware, and I just realize I'm enough. Sometimes it can take years to just realize you're enough. Do you see that? So what I'm showing you here is that men need to wake up, not by going, do you want your daughter to not be able to get a job? Do you want your daughter not to fuck a beta? Your daughter's the extension of you. If your existence can continue through your daughter, do you want her to have to fuck betas while being oppressed?
No.
No, so it's not about going back to that. It's about guys just learning to lighten up. You see that? It's about guys just learning to lighten up. And the number one thing that we learn is attractive is strength of frame. So because that's the immediate dynamic when an interaction's happening. Not them sizing you up, it's frame. That's why little short, funny looking guys can leave with a girl of the Chad if he has frame. You'll see it every night you go out. Just test it. Don't take my word. Test it. So that being the case, if the major thing that men need to learn is to think for themselves, might that not be adaptive as we go into AI? You ever see the movie WALL-E?
Yep.
What happens to human beings in the movie WALL-E?
They go extinct and then they go on a ship.
They've been a bunch of fucking retards all fucked up and fat in a wheelchair, in an electronic wheelchair looking at a screen. Would it maybe be important for men to not go into groupthink as the AI takeover and transhumanism occurs? Would that be an important quality for men? So is it better to have beta male uprising, or is it better for men to learn to see past the bullshit of the upcoming fourth turning? So where do we have to go? And how special is this moment that we're incubating this here? We're incubating this here. We have the ability to continue to expand, to evolve, to be successful, and to win, and to do great things. We absolutely do. And we will, okay? So whatever happens to me, this speech can never be undone, okay? All I need to do is I need to just edit it, put it out, and whatever happens to me, we'll see what happens to me. As long as it's out, the payload has been delivered. The 25 years of research has been delivered. Okay? Thank you. Got it? Use your brain.